Chapter 316. But now, with more than 50 people facing Jing Yunjiao, they couldn't even put up a fight. The leader's face was ashen, as if he was facing a formidable enemy. Seeing one of his brothers beaten to the ground and unable to get up, he couldn't help but curse. How could he still stand behind and watch the fight? He took out a knife from his pocket. The knife wasn't long, about the length of a hand after unfolding, but it looked extremely sharp, flashing a cold light in the night. Jing Yunjiao vaguely felt danger approaching. He glanced around and saw the arrogant leader just now. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he clenched his fists, making cracking sounds. His cold gaze was like a venomous snake in the darkness of the night, staring at the person who had just arrived. The leader took advantage of the moment when the other brothers were attacking and suddenly drew the blade, stabbing towards Jing Yunjiao. Ah! A mournful cry sounded, but he felt a sharp pain in his shoulder. He didn't know how Jing Yunjiao had split into two, but his technique was amazing. He had directly pulled the leader's forearm, stabbed backwards, and swung the military knife, leaving a long scar on his body. Instantly, the smell of blood filled the tip of his nose. The leader was stabbed, and the brothers were obviously weakened. Some of them were still on the ground, unable to get up, and some were cautiously holding their stomachs, hesitating whether to approach. The leader was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He felt that if the military knife had been swung at a higher angle, it would have been his neck that was cut. If that happened, even the gods wouldn't be able to save him. Jing Yunjiao, what kind of martial arts did he practice? These brothers usually went to the dojo to practice, so they all had some skills. However, Jing Yunjiao was more like a martial arts expert. Her figure appeared and disappeared like a ghost, and that aura of hers was enough to scare others into retreating step by step. It was simply too strange. Stop fighting. Jing Yunjiao, let's talk things over. The leader wasn't stupid. He immediately covered his wound and said, they had a lot of people, but they couldn't beat Jing Yunjiao. If this continued, it was guaranteed that they would all go to the hospital. What's your nickname? Jing Yunjiao suddenly asked. Black Panther. The opponent's figure was a little weak. The wound on his shoulder was about 10 centimeters long. Although it wasn't bleeding profusely, it was still painful enough to make people grit their teeth. Now that his hand was covered in blood, he hadn't felt this sticky touch for a long time. Black Panther? Jing Yunjiao chuckled. You say you're not fighting? Then what am I? As soon as he finished speaking, Jing Yunjiao lifted her leg and sent him flying, smashing him into the ground. He fainted in an instant. Others saw a fight, a fight, a fight, a fight, to fight, to fight. But there were also people who were ready to turn to escape. She would not let any of these people go. She glanced at the broken stones under her feet and kicked them out one by one, aiming at the acupuncture points of the people who were running away. Like shooting stars, they directly smashed them until they could not move. As for the others, Jing Yunjiao didn't let them go. Her body moved, and her posture was handsome and clean. She didn't touch a leaf, and her slender hands were like sharp blades. Her punches and palms made these people dizzy, and they were defeated. Dong dong sounds kept coming, and in less than 10 minutes, Jing Yunjiao's vision was filled with a quiet and miserable scene. On the bluestone road, there were many men lying on the ground. Jing Yunjiao's face was cold as she dragged the men on the ground together. It was as if she wanted to pile them up into a small mountain. After doing all this, she picked up her phone from the ground and dialed a number. Chapter 317. Ever since Qiao Hongye dropped out of school, she had never contacted Hua Zhe again. However, Hua Zhe was a man of honor. It was more appropriate to leave such a convenient task to him. If she sent these people to the police station today, it could be considered as redemption for these people. After all, it was these people who were suffering now. At most, they would be detained for a few days before being released. It would be of no use at all. What she wanted was that from now on, no one in Huaning would dare to have any ideas about her. Jing Yunjiao had previously used a temporary phone. After she cut off contact with Hua Zhe, she had never used that number again. Now, she didn't want to hide it, so she used her usual private contact number. Looking at the unfamiliar number on the phone, Hua Zhe raised his eyebrows. Perhaps there was business again. However, Ever since that Xiao Hongye was taught a lesson, his brothers had never done such an easy job. Thinking about it, he really missed it. Once the call connected, Hua Zei's lazy voice rang out. Jing Yunjiao also went straight to the point. Hua Zei, do you know Black Panther? The familiar voice stunned Hua Zei for a moment. In the next second, he looked at the contact number again with uncertainty. Then, he raised his eyebrows and asked, "It's you?" This little boy had completely cut off contact after transferring all the follow-up funds to him. They also knew the rules and didn't pursue the matter. They originally thought that they wouldn't be able to receive her call in the future. Who knew that in just a few months, they would actually be able to contact her again? Why are you asking about Black Panther? Did you offend him? Let me give you a word of advice. This Black Panther has over 1,000 brothers. He himself is also a rather fierce person. Many private places in the county are under his protection. Moreover, this person accepts all kinds of orders. He doesn't hesitate to beat up the elderly and children. He's different from Chao Xing. If you meet him, it's better to avoid him, Hua Zei said very politely. After he finished speaking, he pursed his lips. If it was an ordinary person who asked, he would have to charge some information fee. However, this little brother was different. After Chao Xing was completely crippled, his brothers were now his people. Even Chao Xing's territory had been swallowed by him. Although he couldn't compare to Black Panther now, within Huaning County, he still had some authority. We've already provoked them. They're in the alley next to Youth Street. How many people? Before Jing Yunjiao could finish, Hua Zei asked. More than 50, Jing Yunjiao said. Think of a way to stall for time. I'll be there soon with my men. Hua Zei hung up the phone immediately after he finished speaking and quickly called for his brothers. This Black Panther was too immoral. That little boy was probably still an underage brat, yet he dared to do such a thing? If it had been someone else, he wouldn't have bothered. However, he, Hua Zei, wasn't the kind of person who would forget about righteousness at the sight of profit. Previously, he had taken this little brother's money, but in reality, he hadn't put in much effort. If he didn't step forward to help him mediate the situation, then it would be a waste of his righteous reputation. Jing Yunjiao stared at the phone in a daze. He didn't expect Hua Zei to not ask any further questions. Jing Yunjiao secretly shook his head. The cold wind was blowing, and it was chilly. In his boredom, he found a spot by the wall and squatted down to wait. Occasionally, there would be a few people who still wanted to struggle, but they were directly suppressed by her violent means. Now, this group of people was in a sorry state. A group of sick and crippled people, groaning non-stop. After 20 minutes, there were a few passers-by who immediately turned their heads and pretended not to have seen anything when they saw them. Who would want to cause trouble in the middle of the night? Hua Zei's speed was considered extremely fast. He didn't bring too many people, only a dozen or so. This was because it was useless to bring too many people. They were here to chat with Black Panther, not to fight. Otherwise, even if they won now, Black Panther would be able to get back at them tomorrow. When that time came, they would end up in a worse state. Chapter 318. However, along the way, Hua Zei was already worried. After such a long time, it would have been too late. By the time they arrived, the little brother would have already been beaten up, right? Moreover, since Black Panther had personally led his men, it wouldn't be just a beating. He would definitely cripple some parts of his body as a memento. Hua Zei sighed faintly. Forget it. If they were late, they would have already sent him to the hospital. That would be the best they could do. After thinking for a while, when Hua Zei rushed into the alley with his men, he was instantly agitated. He saw a little girl squatting on the ground with her back against the wall, a pair of black eyes looking at him. Opposite her, there were indeed more than 50 people, but they were all injured. Some of them had bruised noses and swollen faces, some of their arms and legs seemed to be crippled, and the rest of them were stained with blood, looking particularly miserable. Among the crowd, Hua Zei saw a familiar figure. It was the Black Panther that he had to call Big Brother. Even through the darkness of the night, Hua Zei could see that Black Panther's face was pale and his body was covered in blood. Injured? Hua Zei was shocked. Could it be that another group of people had just arrived? Jing Yunjiao stood up from the ground and walked towards Hua Zei. He couldn't help but be surprised. Huaze looked to be only 24 or 25 years old. He was very young. Although he wasn't very handsome, he had some temperament and his facial features could be considered decent. However, these people who mingled in the streets often had an unruly aura. "You're here? I'll give these people to you," Jing Yunjiao said, then said, "Black Panther should have more people under him, right?" Huaze was a little confused. After a moment, he said, "You are that, little brother?" He remembered that when he called, the other party's voice was young but hoarse and low. It should have been a little boy. How did it become a girl? Moreover, it was such a beautiful girl. Also, what was going on now? How did Black Panther's men become like this? "I am." Jing Yunjiao didn't hesitate. Her attitude made Huaze feel even more unbearable. After a while, he thought about it and asked his brothers to stand guard outside the small alley while he prepared his speech. Then, he carefully worded his words and asked, "Was it really you who called me just now?" Jing Yunjiao nodded. Huaze sighed. All right, he had misheard. After all, they hadn't met, so it was normal for him to make a mistake. He could accept it. "Did you find someone else before you called me?" he asked again. Jing Yunjiao shook her head. "No, there's only you." Then these people. Huaze didn't believe her. "They were all beaten by me." Jing Yunjiao stood perfectly straight without the slightest bit of fear. Huaze suddenly felt that he wasn't talking to a little girl, but more like an adult. Huaze's mouth twitched. "By you? How is that? Look at your skinny arms and legs. How can you beat so many men down with your skinny arms and legs? Little sister, we're familiar with each other. Just tell me the truth." As Huaze spoke, he suddenly felt his body fly into the air and land on the ground. He was dizzy and didn't feel good. She attacked without giving him any time to react. Huaze was a little depressed as he struggled to get up. However, he heard Jing Yunjiao say, "Do you believe me now? Even if there were 100 of you, you wouldn't be a match for me." Chapter 319. Jing Yunjiao dusted her hands, as if nothing had happened at all. Huaze felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He swallowed his saliva and turned to look at the others. Suddenly, he felt a chill run down his spine. "How should I address you?" After a moment, Huaze became serious and courteous. He felt that he had seen this person before. She should be Qiao Hongye's pitiful elder sister. "Jing Yunjiao, you didn't call me to ask for help. You wanted me to clean up the mess?" "Miss Jing, since you asked, I'll answer you honestly. This Black Panther has many brothers. It's useless for you to beat him up today. Sooner or later, he'll bring his men to intercept you." Huaze was also feeling conflicted. Now that Black Panther had been beaten up so badly, he definitely couldn't negotiate with him anymore. Black Panther was a person who held grudges. Regardless of whether he had anything to do with today's incident, Black Panther would put the blame on him. Especially when he couldn't hurt Jing Yunjiao, it was even more so. Therefore, Jing Yunjiao had brought him a huge problem. Unfortunately, the other party was a little girl. That was why he was sullen. "I know. That's why I called you. I want to ask you, since you've already beaten him up, what's the difference between beating 50 and 100? Jing Yunjiao asked. "It's not a matter of 100. It's 1,000. Do you understand? There are a few streets in Huaning County that rely on him to protect them." Huaze frowned. Jing Yunjiao paused for a moment. After a few seconds, she said with a magnanimous expression, "Then I'll wipe them all out." She wasn't trying to show off. This was the result of careful consideration. Black Panther wouldn't let her go. If he could come once, there would be a second and third time. This time, he only brought 50 men. Next time, he might bring all of them. He might even take revenge on her friends for the beating she gave him. This Black Panther wasn't Huaze. Huaze still had some morals, but Black Panther was completely different. Rather than waiting for someone to deal with her, she might as well go all out. After interacting with Huaze for so long, she could tell that he was a decent person. She might as well cooperate with him. "Do you know what you're saying? Wipe them all out. I can find 300 to 400 brothers under me, but they won't even be enough to fill the gaps between my teeth." Huaze snorted coldly. Jing Yunjiao still said, "Bring your brothers with you. I can guarantee that we won't lose." She didn't understand the so-called rules of the underworld, but the one with the bigger fist definitely had the upper hand. If it was before the summer vacation, she wouldn't have been so confident. But now, 4 or 5 months had passed, which was about a year in the space. These days, she had been practicing martial arts to strengthen her body. What's more, the martial arts she learned were real martial arts, which was completely different from the fake skills of these little gangsters. It was not a problem for her to break out of a bloody path. Hwaze suddenly felt that he had met a lunatic today. A 16 or 17-year-old girl who was as thin as a stick actually said that she wanted to take him to fight for territory. Anxious, he lit a cigarette and took a few puffs. Jing Yunjiao, have you ever thought about what would happen to you if you lost? You're sending a lamb to the tiger's den, and you're still so fucking good-looking. Aren't you just giving yourself to others to trample on? Don't think that there's only white in the world. You just can't see the dark places. Hwaze said angrily. From your attitude just now, it's obvious that you're thinking about the future. Since you've already offended Black Panther, you can either wait for him to take you down or resist. I don't believe that you won't choose to gamble big. After all, Black Panther is already in our hands. Chapter 320. Jing Yunjiao sometimes felt that her brain would suddenly become very bright, such as now. Hwaze was dumbfounded by her words. Jing Yunjiao was right. Now that things had come to this, he would definitely go and raid Black Panther's lair. But there were risks involved. You have some ability. I can bring you there, but you have to think carefully. If something happens, I won't be responsible. Hwaze said in the end. It was his first time seeing such a stubborn girl. When he sent people to follow Xiao Hongya, he had investigated Jing Yunjiao. She was practically a role model for those students. Her results in every exam were far ahead of the others. He really didn't understand why such a promising person would want to get involved. Moreover, who exactly did she offend to actually get Black Panther to take action? Black Panther wasn't cheap. Jing Yunjiao nodded. As such, Hwaze could only agree helplessly. He hurriedly called for some of his brothers to drive over and take Black Panther and his gang away. However, before those brothers arrived, Hwaze glanced at her and left for a while. When he came back, he handed her a set of clothes. The clothes were black, big and fat, and there was also a hat. After wearing it, others couldn't see her forehead, and her eyes were also hidden in the shadows. Apart from that, there was also a black mask. With this set of clothes, no one would think that she was a girl when she mixed in with a group of men. Actually, even if Hwaze didn't hand her the clothes, she would have found another set of clothes to cover herself later. Thank you, Jing Yunjiao said politely. Hwaze's lips twitched, and a sense of guilt emerged. What was the meaning of bringing this little girl to fight? Although he was a scoundrel, he was still a normal human. If something happened to this little girl later, there would probably be people calling him a beast. He spat out a mouthful of phlegm and cursed softly. However, he still restrained himself. For some reason, he didn't show it in front of Jing Yunjiao. He felt that it wasn't good to lead such a good student astray. Very quickly, there were people pushing the group of people into a van. But before they left, Jing Yunjiao suddenly thought of something. She went forward and with 2 kachap sounds, she broke one of Black Panther's arms and one of his legs. Black Panther fainted from the pain. Hwaze was still self-reflecting 10 minutes ago. Now that he saw this scene, he was only left with confusion. He really thought that he was crazy just now to feel guilty. This fucker was even more violent than him. Jing Yunjiao didn't want to be a good person who let others bully her without retaliating. Black Panther wanted to break her arms and legs. She was strong enough, so she was able to dodge. But that didn't mean she should ignore his words. Jing Yunjiao acted as if nothing had happened and followed him into the car while wearing the black cloak like windbreaker. Hwaze moved quickly. After an hour, he had gathered a few hundred people. He dragged the crippled Black Panther and the rest into their lair. The police couldn't handle matters like this. Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't dare to. Moreover, there were black and white. Some things were known to everyone. They didn't have to be judged by the scale of justice. Therefore, when a group of people blocked this excuse, other than Black Panther's people, no one else interfered. Jing Yunjiao stood beside Hwaze. When Hwaze arrived, The two sides confronted each other. Hua Ze threw Black Panther in the middle. The other side saw this and was instantly enraged. This was their boss. How could he be crippled? Chapter 321. The other party's expressions were extremely ugly. More and more people were coming, almost 3 times their number. Hua Ze, are you tired of living? How dare you touch our boss? One of the other party roared. Hua Ze's emotions were complicated. He didn't want to move either. In fact, he wasn't the one who did it. But who asked him to be so unlucky? If he didn't retaliate, he would only be a target for Black Panther in the future. Cut the crap. Black Panther's tyrannical ways have long since turned my nose up at him. Since we've already touched your boss today, then let's follow the rules. He was disheartened, but he couldn't show it on his face. The rules were simple. The winner was king, and the loser was a bandit. Conquering territory was all about fighting. After the fight, they would slowly deal with those who weren't loyal. Once the reputation grew, the number of underlings would increase. This was an unchanging way of development. Since the words were out in the open, there was nothing else to talk about. After a while, they all rushed forward. It was the first time Jing Yunjiao had experienced such a hot-blooded scene. She was a little excited. It was no wonder that everyone wanted power. Those without power and ability were just like the soldiers charging at the front, used as cannon fodder. Once those with ability climbed to a certain height, they wouldn't need to do anything at all. The sounds of the wind and the cries of cranes could be heard all around them. Everyone was fighting happily, but Jing Yunjiao's side was slowly attracting more and more firepower. Originally, no one thought much of Jing Yunjiao, who looked extremely skinny and weak, and thought that she would be able to beat them to the ground with a single move. Who knew that with more than 10 people rushing towards her, not only was Jing Yunjiao unharmed, even those people had already fallen to the ground and couldn't get up. This time, quite a number of people could tell that there was something fishy about Jing Yunjiao's body, and they all surrounded her to beat her up. Hua Ze was also a little dumbfounded. Jing Yunjiao was indeed good at fighting, but with so many people attracted, would she be able to handle it? However, it was soon proven that Hua Ze's worries were completely unnecessary. On this street, there was no one around, and the sounds of fighting and killing were endless. Among them, there was a black figure who seemed to have the help of the gods. Every punch and kick carried a strong destructive power, catching the opponent off guard. More and more people fell, but the black shadow was still there. It even seemed like the more it fought, the more spirited it became. Initially, Hua Ze was still worried and had asked a few of his brothers to stay by her side to protect her. However, those brothers had already been separated from each other. On the other hand, Jing Yunjiao could carry hundreds of people on her shoulders at the same time. After being motivated by her ability, his brothers even became a lot braver. She was like a war god that would never fall. Her murderous aura made everyone unable to breathe. Jing Yunjiao didn't know how much time had passed. She only knew that she had to fight whoever came. She wanted to get rid of these people who might go against her in the future. No matter if they were Black Panther or Red Panther, none of them would be left alive. That night, Hua Ze became famous in the underworld. Even though they were outnumbered, they were able to defeat Black Panther's men and directly replace them. However, the most famous person that night was Jing Yunjiao. No one knew Jing Yunjiao's name. They only knew that a person wearing a black windbreaker and a black mask, whose face could not be seen clearly, had brought Hua Ze to fame in a single battle. For the sake of convenience, someone had given her a nickname, Black Devil King. Jing Yunjiao didn't care so much. After helping Hua Ze get rid of Black Panther's men that night, she chatted with him in detail. Previously, Hua Ze didn't believe in her ability. However, now, he didn't have any doubts at all. He even looked at her with an involuntary admiration. In his mind, that figure simply couldn't be erased. Chapter 322. For someone like Hua Ze, he worshipped Guan Yu and believed in his fists. Jing Yunjiao's fists were so big that no one could surpass them. Naturally, Hua Ze could no longer treat her as a little girl or a little girl. Especially with Jing Yunjiao's godlike martial arts, Hua Ze was so envious that he wanted to kneel and worship her as his master. The way he looked at Jing Yunjiao was a little crazy. Miss Jing. After the deed was done, Huaze treated her to a meal at a nearby bar. He felt a little uncomfortable when he opened his mouth. Normally, with Jing Yunjiao's abilities, calling her big sister was more appropriate. However, she was young and felt that it was inappropriate. He thought for a while and changed his words. Big sister Jing. Jing Yunjiao almost spat out her saliva. You can just call me Jing Yunjiao or Yunjiao. Jing Yunjiao couldn't accept the shocking title just now. Huaze smiled. Yunjiao, your martial arts are not bad. Can you teach me? I can pay for it. Yes, you don't have to pay for it. However, I have a request. Jing Yunjiao agreed very quickly. Huaze didn't expect her to be so reckless and almost didn't react in time. Say it. Huaze didn't have the lazy and casual attitude from before. His entire aura had changed. In the past, he was just a small boss. However, things were different now. In Huaning County, his power was considered to be in the top tier. Use the fastest speed to expand your power. I can help you. We will fight when we need to. I hope you can be a real boss. Jing Yunjiao looked serious. Huaze's mouth twitched. Was she giving him an advantage? What's in it for you? Huaze was still rational. No one would give him such a big pie for no reason. There must be a request, right? I hope that from now on, the gangsters in Huaning County will turn around and leave when they see me. Your subordinates are not allowed to touch the people or businesses that I want to protect, Jing Yunjiao said. What she was doing now was to avoid trouble in the future. The existence of the local tyrant still had some ability. Sometimes, even the police had to be a little apprehensive. Moreover, there were many things that the police couldn't do, but the local tyrant could. One was in the light while the other was in the dark. As the saying goes, it's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to defend against a stab in the dark. If she kept defending people in the future, people would also be like Jiang Wenshang, bribing local tyrants to create obstacles for her. Even if her martial arts were powerful, there would still be a day when she would be schemed against. You're helping me because of this? Huaze was in disbelief. This person was so powerful, why would he need to be afraid of these hooligans? Moreover, as long as she reported the name of the Black Devil King, it was guaranteed that those who wanted to deal with her would immediately disperse like birds startled by the twang of a bow. Jing Yunjiao knew this as well, but it was different. What she wanted was to completely and eternally eliminate all future troubles. Jing Yunjiao nodded and said, You can start preparing for the next few days. When you need me to take action, just let me know. However, Huaze, I'll say the ugly words first. I just want stability. I'm willing to help you now because I feel that you're righteous and I can temporarily trust you. However, if you make a move against me in the future, I'll find a way to beat you back to your original state even if I have to turn the world upside down. As Jing Yunjiao spoke, her murderous intent was so thick that it made Huaze's heart tremble. Don't worry about that. Lord Guan is on top. Besides, how would I dare? Huaze didn't doubt his own credibility. After seeing Jing Yunjiao in action, he could guarantee that many people wouldn't want to go against her in this lifetime. That kind of aura was like that of a killing god who had walked out from the Azura Hell. She could wipe out all her opponents in a matter of minutes. The title of the Black Devil King was very appropriate for her. Chapter 323. After Jing Yunjiao and Huaze came to an agreement, she didn't want to stay in such a noisy place, so she left through the back door of the bar. However, a night had already passed outside, and the morning sun had just risen. She couldn't sleep the whole night. Jiang Wenshang, the instigator, was the same. He tossed and turned the whole night, thinking about it. He knew how powerful Black Panther was and was afraid that Black Panther would kill someone, but he was also afraid that Black Panther would let Jing Yunjiao go because she was pretty. If Jing Yunjiao used her beauty to charm Black Panther and turned against him, he would be in trouble. However, after thinking about it, he felt that it was impossible. He had given Black Panther $300,000 just to buy Jing Yunjiao's arms and legs. Although Black Panther had mobilized a lot of people, the price was still a lot. If he took the money and didn't do anything, Black Panther's reputation would definitely worsen. Jiang Wensheng woke up early. With 2 dark circles under his eyes, he waited for the call. The tea house opened soon after, but the waiters hadn't arrived yet. Because there hadn't been any customers for a long time, The tea house lacked a sense of humanity and felt a little gloomy and cold. This Black Panther, why hasn't he replied to my letter? Jiang Wensheng mumbled to himself, looking irritated. At this moment, Jing Yunjiao walked in. Jiang Wensheng raised his head and stood there motionless, as if he had been struck by lightning. What was going on? Why was Jing Yunjiao fine? Her face was still smooth and perfect, so beautiful that he couldn't take his eyes off her. Her arms and legs were fine. After she came in, she ignored him and sat in the corner like a ghost. Ghost? Jiang Wensheng shuddered. It couldn't be, right? But it was so early in the morning. How could this little ghost have the ability to do that? Jiang Wensheng had done something bad, so he felt guilty. At this moment, he saw that Jing Yunjiao was silent, expressionless, and terrifyingly cold. He felt as if he had been possessed by evil spirits, and his whole body trembled. There was no one else in the tea house. He had opened the windows in the morning to get some fresh air. The wind outside blew on the curtains, making them flutter. Jing Yunjiao had gone to the space before she came and took a bath in the space pond, so her hair was now disheveled. The wind rustled her hair, and her long black hair was perfectly straight, which was why it was so frightening. Jiang Wensheng casually grabbed the stool that was placed at the front desk and walked over. He took a few steps closer and asked nervously, Are you a human or a ghost? Jing Yunjiao raised her head to look at him. Jiang Wensheng felt as if he'd fallen into an ice cellar. What sort of eyes were those? Jet black, cold, emotionless, without the slightest fluctuation, empty and terrifying. Her face was pale, and her lips were bright red. In actuality, Jiang Wensheng's current state was completely due to his guilty conscience. Jing Yunjiao's complexion was originally delicate and fair, and even though the place she was sitting at was a little darker than other places, there was still light above her. This light made her look even more ethereal. Also, her gaze when Jiang Wensheng asked if she was a human or a ghost simply made her speechless. Her gaze just now was just to express her sympathy towards this idiot Jiang Wensheng. Besides, her lips were red and her teeth were white. Was it her fault? Jiang Wensheng, are you shocked that I'm back here? Jing Yunjiao said faintly. Jiang Wensheng pointed at her. Don't mess around. You asked for it. Get out of my tea house. I'm not afraid of you. Jing Yunjiao frowned slightly. Did Jiang Wensheng think she was dead? He was really an idiot. Jing Yunjiao continued to sit. I'm just here to see how unlucky you are. After saying that, the corners of her mouth curled up slightly, revealing a smile. However, such a gentle and tranquil smile was like a ghost smile to Jiang Wensheng. It gave him goosebumps. Chapter 324. Just as Jiang Wensheng was about to break down, a group of people suddenly barged in. When they saw Jiang Wensheng, they started to beat him up without saying a word. Jing Yunjiao wanted to see if Jiang Wensheng could keep his arms and legs. Just because of some personal vendetta, he actually hired someone to cripple her? Sins committed by the heavens could be forgiven, but sins committed by oneself were the hardest to bear. There weren't many people who came, only 7 of them. Their speed was extremely fast. After entering, 3 of them were in charge of violently beating up Jiang Wensheng, while the remaining 4 directly targeted everything else in the shop and started smashing and smashing. Because they had been instructed by Hua Zhe before they came, they had to end things quickly, so even though they saw Jing Yunjiao, they didn't chase her out. Of course, there was also no one who recognized her as the Black Devil King, who had swept the entire street yesterday. These 7 people were all ruthless people by Hua Zhe's side. They all wore masks and were straightforward in their actions. After pinning Jiang Wensheng to the ground, they grabbed a bench and smashed it at his legs. After a few fierce blows and making sure that they were crippled, they turned and left. Jing Yunjiao pursed her lips, her gaze deep. She felt that her heart was much harder now. Although she had been imprisoned for murder in her previous life, it was in self-defense. But now, the man in front of her was indeed crippled by someone she had hired. She was a doctor and knew what kind of injuries couldn't be healed, such as Jiang Wensheng's. But she didn't regret it. Once those people left, the house became quiet again. Only then did Jing Yunjiao walk from the mess to Jiang Wensheng's side. Looking at him with pity, she asked, Uncle Jiang, does it hurt? Jiang Wensheng bared his teeth and howled, his gaze pleading. If you had known that it would be like this to have your arms and legs crippled, I don't know if you would have still chosen to hire someone to harm me. Jing Yunzhao's so-called pity disappeared and was replaced by his usual coldness. It's not because of me that your tea house fell into such a situation. It's because of your poor management that you mistook the Gelsemium elegans. Speaking of which, if I didn't save those 3 people at that time, you would have to compensate them with more than 600,000 yuan. Not only did you not thank me, you even went to Black Panther. Jing Yunzhao chuckled. Oh right, Black Panther is in a worse state than you. You don't have to blame him for not completing your mission. He did his best. After that, Jing Yunzhao glanced at him and called an ambulance for him before he left. In any case, there was no way he could recover his limbs. He could only be a cripple in the future. When Jing Yunzhao left the first tea house, he reached out and gripped the jade gourd token around his neck. If it wasn't for it, she wouldn't know medicine or martial arts. If she offended Jiang Wensheng and Black Panther in that situation, she would definitely live a life worse than her previous life. More than an hour later, the waiters in Yuling Tea Pavilion started whispering among themselves. Have you heard? Mr. Jiang was beaten up badly by someone. My friend at the hospital said that one of his arms and legs were crippled. Their tea house is in a mess now. Everything is broken. I heard that Miss Jing passed by their door to take a look and saw Jiang Wensheng being beaten up. She was kind enough to call an ambulance. Otherwise, who knows how long he would have to lie on the ground. Isn't that right? Didn't the police come to ask just now? Miss Jing said that she saw him being beaten up, but she was scared out of her wits. She only knew that the other party was wearing masks and hats, so she didn't know who did it. Jing Yunzhao sat upstairs. When he heard these words, he only calmly sipped his tea. Chapter 325. Chu Rong felt that Jing Yunzhao's attitude was a little strange. Logically speaking, if a normal person heard this kind of gossip, they would be curious, but Jing Yunzhao was very calm, as if the matter had nothing to do with her, not even the slightest bit of curiosity. Moreover, when Jiang Wensheng was beaten up, she was the only witness. As an insider, it was unbelievable that she could be so calm. Boss, did you really not see what the other party looked like? Chu Rong asked suspiciously. There were too many things that she suspected. Jing Yunzhao rarely came except for the first 2 days when the shop opened. However, he arrived so early today and even happened to pass by Jiang Wensheng's shop. He even happened to see Jiang Wensheng being beaten up. Everything seemed like a drama that had been arranged long ago. Jing Yunzhao put down his teacup and glanced at Chu Rong. I didn't see what they looked like, but I know why Jiang Wensheng was beaten up. Chu Rong's heart skipped a beat as she heard Jing Yunzhao continue. He spent money to hire a hitman and found Black Panther in the underworld. He wanted to buy an arm and a leg from him. In the end, Black Panther brought over 50 people, but still lost miserably. Last night, Black Panther's den was raided. It's normal for the other party to take revenge on him. After Jing Yunzhao finished speaking, Chu Rong was surprised again. This Jiang Wensheng was really bold. He actually found someone from the underworld. They were small businessmen, so they should avoid those hoodlums. Jiang Wensheng, on the other hand, actually dared to approach them. He lost and was being punished. However, even if Black Panther really killed the person he wanted to beat up, Jiang Wensheng might not be able to live peacefully in the future. If Black Panther was a righteous person, then this relationship could be cut off easily. However, if he was not, and Black Panther had something on him, then he would be doomed eternally. Moreover, people were sometimes greedy. He broke the rules and used this method to deal with the problem. The next time he met someone he was not satisfied with, he might use this method again. How could one not wet their shoes if they walked by the river? Jiang Wensheng was destined to not have a good ending when he decided to find Black Panther. Chu Rong was silent for a while. He deserved it. However, she did not know who was the victim of this scheme. Jing Yunzhao was so clear about the ins and outs of the matter. Could it be related to her? Chu Rong's heart skipped a beat. She was shocked by her own thoughts. She looked up at Jing Yunzhao and laughed at herself. Even though Jing Yunzhao had the ability to open a company and a shop, it was all because she found the right people to help her. However, things in the underworld were different. Once you got involved, it would be impossible if you didn't have the ability. Furthermore, this wasn't a matter of moving one's mouth. It was a method to beat people up. Chu Rong was too embarrassed to ask further. Meanwhile, the number 1 tea house across the street was completely ruined. After Jiang Wenshang was admitted to the hospital, he naturally called the police, but when the police asked, he began to hesitate again. He couldn't possibly say that he had bribed Black Panther to beat him up, could he? Now that he had no evidence, and he couldn't contact Black Panther, if Black Panther went back on his word, he would be the one to suffer. Therefore, Jiang Wenshang could only insist that he push the blame to Jing Yunjiao. It's her. She's from Yuling Tea Pavilion. They couldn't bear to see me doing well, so they found someone to destroy my shop. You'll know if you investigate, it must be related to her. Jiang Wenshang said anxiously on the hospital bed. He was about to go crazy. He was middle-aged and should have a successful career and a happy family, but he had become a cripple. Chapter 326. When Jiang Wenshang thought of the scene when he saw Jing Yunjiao in the morning, he still felt his scalp go numb. However, when he heard that Jing Yunjiao was still alive and well, he knew that he was done for. Other than her, no one else would do anything to him. That was why he was so sure. However, no one would believe him even if he said that. It was true that Jing Yunjiao was related to Yuling Tea Pavilion, but no one would associate her with the position of the owner. Moreover, even if they knew that Yuling Tea Pavilion was hers, they wouldn't think that a little girl who hadn't even reached adulthood would have the guts to find someone to smash the number 1 tea pavilion and even ruin Jiang Wenshang. Moreover, although they were competitors on the same street, Jiang Wenshang's tea pavilion could not be compared to Yuling Tea Pavilion. On the first day of Yuling Tea Pavilion's opening, the people who came to congratulate them were either rich or noble. Because it was bustling with activity, it attracted many customers. In the following days, business got better and better. Those who went to Yuling Tea Pavilion all said that the quality of tea was very high. Whether it was service, refreshments, or other aspects, it could definitely beat other tea pavilions. Even the tea house in Ning City could not compare to it. In other words, the first tea pavilion could not compare to Yuling Tea Pavilion. Since that was the case, how could Jing Yunjiao find trouble with Jiang Wenshang? She could just use business to crush him. Find people from the underworld? Why bother? Jiang Wenshang's words were questioned and even completely ruled out. He was so anxious that he was about to go crazy. With one of his arms and legs broken, his quality of life would naturally be greatly reduced. Moreover, when he was hospitalized, he spent a lot of money. Adding on the money he gave to Black Panther, it caused his family's savings to be almost gone. Since the tea house could not continue operating, he could only choose to sell it. However, Jiang Wenshang did not pay the balance of the tea house, so the price was not as high as he expected. Mother Jiang also had a clothing store. Business was not bad, but because of Black Panther's matter, it was getting worse and worse. This time, it was not Jing Yunjiao who did it, but Black Panther's brothers. Although Hua Zhe had taken in Black Panther's men, he had kicked out those who had been used by Black Panther in the past. Even though it was Hua Zhe who had raided Black Panther's lair, Black Panther had been crippled in an inexplicable manner. Those who had been with Black Panther when he was killed all kept their mouths shut. Their faces were filled with shock, as if they had encountered something terrifying. This made the outsiders suspicious. Black Panther's injuries were basically the same as Jiang Wenshang's, so those people had no choice but to turn their attention to Jiang Wenshang to vent their anger. Therefore, within 3 days, Mother Jiang's clothing store was also smashed, and all the branded clothes inside were completely destroyed. The salespeople didn't dare to stay any longer. Not only that, but there were also people who went to the Jiang family and threatened them again. Those people were used to doing this kind of thing and could take advantage of the loopholes. Even if Jiang Wenshang called the police, it was useless. Jiang Wenshang had no choice but to spend money to solve the problem. The other party had a huge appetite and even blamed him for Black Panther being crippled. How could the money he wanted be small? In the blink of an eye, the family's wealth was almost all gone. Because of this, Jiang Xia's days were delayed, and he did not have the money to go to a good school. The family was exhausted, but the real nightmare was still lurking in reality. Jiang Wenshang needed to be taken care of, and Mother Jiang's clothing store was destroyed. It would not be able to reopen for a while, so she could only stay at home with her husband. However, Both of them had resentment in their hearts. If they were not hitting, they were scolding, and they were extremely annoyed. Chapter 327. In the end, Jiang Wensheng and his wife had no choice but to divorce. Jiang Xia was affected by them, and not long after, his grades took a nosedive. He went to that third-rate school only because he could save a lot of money and the school would give him preferential treatment. But when he really went there, the teachers treated him like a treasure at first. But as time passed, they realized that his grades were getting worse and worse, and their attitude towards him was no different from how they treated others. Jiang Xia was arrogant and really looked down on the students in those third-rate schools. So when he went there, his attitude towards his classmates was not as polite as when he was in number 1 middle school. In the past, everyone was apprehensive of him because he was liked by the teachers, so they did not dare to provoke him. But it was different later on. There were some students in that school who liked to fight, and Jiang Xia immediately became their target. Life was really not easy. Every day when he went to and from school, he would be stopped by some students. Usually, he would be ordered around in school. The environment was completely different from before. As time passed, Jiang Xia's sense of superiority had long been worn away. He was usually quiet and unlikable. Jiang Xia was annoyed, but Jiang Wensheng's intestines were green with regret. Why did he have to find Black Panther? Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do now. The rest of his life was still long. While Jiang Wensheng was suffering, Jing Yunjiao followed Hua Zhe every night for a long period of time and swept the streets of Huaning Street. Hua Zhe did things very generously, and his methods were very clear. From small to large, he swallowed up one by one and slowly digested them. With Jing Yunjiao's name as the Black Devil King, the people under him did not dare to act recklessly. Moreover, those small hooligans had always followed the person with the bigger fist. So, everything went smoothly. Even Xiao Haiqing had heard of the turbulent situation. She had been talking about the Black Devil King nonstop all day long. Yunjiao, you don't know, but this Black Devil King is simply a war god. Do you know what a war god is? He is invincible and invincible. There was a person called Viper in this underworld who did not want to submit to him. He and Hua Zhe led a group of brothers to provoke him for many days. They went every day and beat Viper's brothers until they gave up and handed over their territory with both hands. I'm dying of laughter. Xiao Haiqing's eyes seemed to be filled with red hearts. She grabbed her arm and continued. I followed him last night to take a look, but I was a little far away. I only knew that he was wearing a black windbreaker and his face was covered, so I couldn't see clearly. But his hands were very beautiful. I could tell that he should be very young. Xiao Haiqing, no matter how powerful that Black Devil King is, he's still just a hoodlum. Don't be infatuated with him. Gan Jinshen reminded her. You know nothing. Xiao Haiqing immediately rolled her eyes. Only Hua Zhe knows about the Black Devil King's identity. He doesn't usually show his face, so he's completely different from normal hooligans. Moreover, with that kind of skill, how can he just be a hooligan in the future? Anyway, I don't believe it. Hearing Xiao Haiqing's words, Su Chu was also fascinated. Gan Jinshen saw Su Chu's expression of worship and immediately interrupted. You can chase after your own idols. Don't lead Chu Chu astray. Yes, our Chu Chu is a cute little white rabbit. If she meets the Black Devil King, I guarantee that she'll be swallowed whole. Xiao Haiqing smiled and said. Jing Yunjiao, the person involved, was at a loss for words. Could she tell Xiao Haiqing that she was the legendary Black Devil King? Obviously, she couldn't. The nature of this matter was different from before. If they found out, it would be inevitable for them to be alarmed. But then again, Yunjiao, didn't you encounter any problems before this? When I was asking about the Black Devil King, I heard a piece of news. Black Panther received money from someone called Jiang Wensheng to find trouble with you. But in the end, he was dealt with by Hua Zhe's men. Chapter 328. Xiao Haiqing was also a little confused. The information she had found was all over the place, and she couldn't tell which one was true. However, since it involved Jing Yunjiao, she wouldn't feel at ease if she didn't ask more. I did encounter some danger, but you know that I know some martial arts, so I didn't lose out. After I beat those people up, I called Huaze. Huaze was quite loyal. Perhaps he was worried that he would be targeted by Black Panther, so he made the first move. Jing Yunjiao didn't lie about this. Xiao Haiqing's eyes widened when she heard this. So you're saying that you were the fuse? If Jing Yunjiao had looked for Huaze at that time, Huaze might not have made things difficult for Black Panther. Later on, he might not have joined forces with Black Devil King to fight for territory and cause a bloodbath. Xiao Haiqing suddenly felt that the truth was very frightening. However, she was afraid that Jing Yunjiao would think too much, so she immediately said, Huaze is still a good person. Jing Yunjiao nodded. Gan Jinqian and Su Chu still hadn't recovered from the shock. They didn't expect Jing Yunjiao to encounter such a big matter. However, seeing Jing Yunjiao's nonchalant expression, they didn't say much. They were afraid that Jing Yunjiao would be scared if they mentioned the previous incident. After everything in the tea house was on track, Jing Yunjiao remembered the medical letter that Old Master Su had given her. The date on the medical letter was approaching. Jing Yunjiao began to think about how to apply for leave from Teacher Qi. The location was in Serene City, and it would last for about a week. She was still a student, so it was impossible for her to leave school as she wished. However, when she thought that Teacher Qi would ask a few more questions, the teacher only glanced at her and said, "It's good to go home and rest for a few days to relax. Don't be too tense. Otherwise, it will be even more difficult when you reach the 3rd year of high school." Jing Yunjiao nodded in surprise. Teacher Qi sighed faintly. If it were any other student, he would want them to work 24 hours a day. However, Jing Yunjiao was different. He had never seen her play like an ordinary child. Usually, when her friends were chatting around her, she would not forget to read a book in her hand or write or draw. It was as if she was possessed. However, according to his understanding, this child had been like this since the 1st year of high school. He used all the time he could, and it was not an exaggeration to say that he neglected sleep and food. If this continued, his grades would be high and stable, but his body would not be able to take it, right? Therefore, when Jing Yunjiao asked for leave, he immediately agreed. When everything was ready, Jing Yunjiao informed his friends, Elder Gan, Elder Su, and the others before setting off for Serene City. This was Jing Yunjiao's 2nd time in Serene City, so he was not very familiar with the roads in Serene City. Other than Elder Tang and the company, there was nothing else in Ning City that she wanted to visit. Therefore, she didn't wander around. Instead, she took a taxi to the designated location on the letter. The letter clearly stated that the location was in the suburbs of Serene City. A few hours after arriving in Serene City, Jing Yunjiao took a taxi to the destination. When she got out of the car, she saw that the surroundings were quiet. On both sides of the road, there were endless medicinal fields. There were no shops nearby, and there weren't many residents. As the sky gradually darkened, it looked very desolate and gloomy. Other than her, there was no one else in the surroundings. Jing Yunjiao carefully looked around before following a small road to a big house in the distance. The medicinal fragrance in this place was very strong, and the scenery was very good. Because the journey was a little far, when Jing Yunjiao entered the big house, her body was already wet from the fields. She carried a big box and looked travel-worn. Chapter 329. She knocked on the door, and after a long time, someone appeared in front of Jing Yunjiao with the letter on the ground. When the other party saw it, he was shocked and quickly invited her in. Inside the house, it was a completely different world. From the outside, it looked like a relatively large house with a lot of trees planted around it, so there was nothing special about it. But inside, it was very amazing. Inside the high wall, there was a front and back courtyard, and she was led to the back courtyard. These rooms were very quiet and elegant, but each room seemed to be arranged according to the letter in each person's hand. Wait, did you make a mistake? Why did you bring her to that room? Jing Yunjiao had just walked to the door of the room, and before she pushed the door open, someone took the initiative to ask. Along the way, there were a lot of gazes, especially when she entered the back courtyard. There were a lot of people who looked surprised. She was not stupid. Presumably the people who lived in the front and back courtyard were different. Her letter is painted with licorice, so it is indeed this room. The person who led the way said with a face of certainty. Behind, the person who spoke just now did not believe it, and went forward to take the letter and looked it over, then nodded suspiciously. Since it is not wrong, then go in. Jing Yunjiao was not clear about the situation, so she did not care and stepped into the room. Closing the door, she looked back and seemed to understand the reason why others were puzzled. When she passed by the other rooms, she could see the exquisiteness inside, but those rooms were far inferior to the one in front of her. There was a fresh smell in the room, and the area was 3 or 4 times the size of the other rooms. There was a special greenhouse, a warehouse, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a large living room. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a luxurious presidential room. This letter was given to her by Su Lao, so this room should also be prepared for Su Lao. After a while, someone came to deliver food, and the food was even more amazing. However, while Jing Yunjiao was enjoying this kind of preferential treatment, some people whispered, "Isn't that licorice room prepared for Su Lao? Why did a little girl come? When did Su Lao come? This old man must have been in Ning City for quite some time, right? Every year, we send people to deliver the invitation, but Elder Su never pays any attention to it. This year, it's quite rare for him to give the invitation to someone else to come on his behalf," someone said. However, someone scoffed. "Even if Elder Su doesn't come, he shouldn't treat our medicine association as an entertainment venue. What was the matter with letting a little girl do it? Even if he is his disciple, he is still so young. Has he finished his apprenticeship?" Jing Yunjiao's hearing was amazing, and he wanted to know more about the situation, so he remembered all the words of these people outside. Su Lao didn't tell her the exact situation of the medicine fair. He only told her to bring a few good medicinal herbs and finished medicines. In fact, she didn't know anything about the rules here. Wherever there were people, there would be gossip. Regardless of age or occasion, Jing Yunjiao was not stupid enough to go out and show off. He stayed in his room for the whole night. It wasn't until the next morning that someone sent her the instructions for the medicine fair. Rather than a medicine fair, it was more like a competition. The people here were all master pharmacists, and they were very familiar with all kinds of medicinal herbs in the world. They came from all over the world, and they were all famous. Their purpose for coming here was very simple. To put it nicely, it was to make friends with medicine. To put it bluntly, it was to compete for fame. Chapter 330. A master pharmacist must have a deep foundation in concocting medicinal herbs and clearly know the medicinal properties of each herb. Even if he didn't have medical skills, he needed to know what kind of state each herb should be in when it was used in different prescriptions. Those who performed well in this medicine fair would definitely have a reputation in the future, but the most important thing was to obtain the rights to some medicinal fields and profit from it. As for the process of the competition, it was just as simple. It was nothing more than testing the medicinal properties of some herbs and the concocting methods and reasons. It seemed easy, but in fact, an outsider might not even understand. This morning was the official first day of the medicine fair. Although everyone's purpose was clear, the medicine fair was mainly for communication. The so-called competition would wait until the end. Jing Yunjiao changed into a clean set of clothes and went out. However, as soon as she opened the door, she saw 2 boys around her age standing there. She was stunned. As soon as they saw her, they immediately said, "Hello, I'm Cui Jun. This is Tong Yin. We heard that you're also here to visit the medicine fair, so we came to accompany you." Jing Yunjiao closed the door and glanced at the 2 of them. The 2 of them were about 17 or 18 years old. The one who spoke was fairer and could be considered handsome. The boy named Tong Yin standing beside him was relatively quieter. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and his skin was slightly darker. Although she didn't know who exactly came to the medicine fair, she knew that her purpose wasn't to visit. The 2 of them were childish and didn't have a strong medicinal smell, especially Cui Jun. He was a little impetuous when he spoke, and the color of his fingers was normal. He definitely wasn't a pharmacist. Jing Yunjiao leaned to one side. "Sorry, I can do it alone." She wasn't cold, but she understood. Yesterday, those people were talking about her behind her back, and this morning, there were people waiting at the door. She didn't believe that it wasn't arranged. These 2 boys were most likely sent by someone to get information from her. Their motives weren't pure, so she refused to interact with them. The other party obviously didn't expect Jing Yunjiao to reject him so straightforwardly. He couldn't accept it for a moment. Is this your first time here? You probably don't know the rules here. Someone sent this over this morning. Jing Yunjiao raised her hand and waved the medicine fair manual in her hand. Cui Jun was speechless. On the other hand, Tong Yin turned around and left without another word. When Cui Jun saw this, he turned around and glared at her with disgust. Sure enough, she had a child's temperament. She would be polite when she needed to be flattered, but when she was rejected, she would revert to her true nature. She definitely had to stay away from this kind of person. Now that her ears were clear, Jing Yunjiao took a stroll around the courtyard. The courtyard was huge, and there were over 100 rooms at the back, not to mention the front yard. According to the arrangement, what they had to do a few days ago was to observe the surrounding medicinal fields and understand the growing environment of some medicinal herbs. Of course, many people already knew about these things, and now they were just taking it as a distraction. Jing Yunjiao walked around the yard for a bit before following the others out of the door. However, before he reached the herbal field, a few people caught up with him. One of them pointed at Jing Yunjiao and shouted, "You, stop!" Jing Yunjiao turned around, and the other party quickly approached and said, "We've been chasing you all the way. Can't you hear us?" Why was he still moving forward? "Did you call me?" "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you call my name. I thought someone was calling me for fun." Jing Yunjiao chuckled and looked amiable. Chapter 331. When she went out, she did hear some movement behind her, but she could tell that the other party's attitude wasn't very good, so she didn't turn around in time. There were about 4 or 5 people, and they didn't look old. 3 of them walked behind, and 2 of them rushed in front. One of them was shouting at her. The one who spoke was a girl, and the one standing next to her was the boy named Cui Jun who was standing at her door. "Why are you so unreasonable? Is there anyone else here besides you?" "Of course I'm calling you," the girl said with an unhappy face. Jing Yunjiao raised her eyebrows. "Then why are you looking for me?" The other party was stunned, and a flash of uneasiness flashed across her face, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. The next second, she said angrily, "I heard that the letter you're holding has a picture of licorice on it, and you're staying in the best room in this courtyard, right?" "It's licorice, but as for whether it's the best room, I'm not sure." Jing Yunjiao told the truth. As soon as she said this, the other party immediately looked at her suspiciously. "How can you not know? That room was prepared for an old senior, and even my dad can't live in it." "You're not that old senior, so how can you go in? What's your relationship with Elder Su?" Jing Yunjiao smiled. "I'll have to trouble you to get your facts straight. I'm only here to bring the letter. As for where they arrange for me to stay, that's their business. I can't control it, and neither can you. Am I right?" The other party's face turned red, and she curled her lips. She hated such an arrogant girl. She was just staying in an old senior's room, so what was there to be proud of? Jing Yunjiao also knew that she was attracting jealousy, but she couldn't help it. She had Elder Su's letter, and she couldn't live in another room just to make others feel better. That would indeed save her trouble, but it would make her more cowardly. If Elder Su found out, not only would he scold her for being stupid, but he would also say that she was useless. She had been with the old man for so long, and she knew his temper. She treated the old man like a teacher, so she would never do anything that would make him lose face. TSK, if you can't control it, then so be it. What's the big deal? The other party rolled her eyes. Who knows if you picked up this letter or not? This isn't a place for you to eat and drink. It won't be long before you lose face. By the way, Cui Jun want to find you this morning out of kindness. He's not interested in you." After she finished speaking, she walked past Jing Yunjiao. TSSSSSSSSSS. Not only this SSS, SSSST, this wasn't the city, it was solid yellow soil. Her fall instantly dirted her clothes. Chui's SSS, the other 3 people behind him also glanced at her with concern, but they weren't as enthusiastic as Cui Jun. Clearly, the 3 of them knew that Miss Shan Shan had asked for it. "Don't touch me, I can get up on my own." Ji Shanshan pouted. Her face flushed red. She knew she had embarrassed herself. Jing Yunjiao glanced at her and treated her as air. He turned around and continued walking. After a few steps, she suddenly felt a sense of danger behind her. She subconsciously dodged. When she looked again, she only saw a fist-sized rock pass by her and hit a man in front of her. Chapter 332. Fortunately, the stone had been thrown far away when it landed on the man, so it only hit his leg. If it was just normal insults, Jing Yunjiao could just treat it as jealousy and ignore it. But now, she actually used such a big rock to throw at her. This was inexcusable. Are you done? Miss Shanshan, I have no grudge against you. Are you trying to kill me? Jing Yunjiao shouted coldly. The girl was shocked, but when she realized that it hadn't caused any big trouble, she said, How am I trying to kill you? I didn't touch you. And Ji Shanshan took a few steps forward proudly and ran to the man who had been hit. She hugged his arm, raised her head, and said to Jing Yunjiao, He's my brother. Wasn't it obvious? Although Ji Shanshan had attacked her, not only had she not hit her, but she had also accidentally attacked her brother. The victim and the perpetrator were from the same family. If they didn't pursue the matter, then she, who had brushed past them, had no right to speak up. Jing Yunjiao was angry at first, but then she smiled. So you think you didn't hit me? Even if you aimed at me, it's still not wrong? You're not hurt. You want me to apologize to you? Impossible, Ji Shanshan said again. From the beginning to the end, the boy named Cui Jun had been standing beside her. He didn't say a word, and his eyes were full of arrogance. Jing Yunjiao was a little confused. It was just a room issue. Was there a need to make them so angry? At this time, the other three couldn't stand it anymore. Ji Shanshan, if she hadn't dodged just now, you would have hit her head. You'd better apologize. We just met. There's no need to be so fierce. But when Ji Shanshan heard that, she turned her head away. No, no, no. I didn't do anything wrong. Jing Yunjiao had always believed that there was a reason for a person's hatred. No one would target someone for no reason, and the reason varied according to the severity of the matter. For example, she didn't think the incident in the room was serious, but Ji Shanshan's reaction was obviously a little too much. However, she wasn't someone who was easy to bully. If she tolerated it and didn't fuss over it, it might turn out that she was easy to bully. Looking down at the messy stones on the ground, Jing Yunjiao took a few in her hand. Since you don't think it's important, then you can try. Jing Yunjiao's voice was cold. After she finished speaking, she took a rock and threw it at her, seemingly aiming for her head. When Ji Shanshan saw this, she was scared silly. The man beside her hurriedly pulled her aside. The stone fell and made a hole in the ground. That voice made Ji Shanshan's scalp tingle. The man next to her said, Aren't you going too far? Am I? She said it herself. I didn't touch her, so it's not wrong. After saying that, Jing Yunjiao threw another stone at her. Ji Shanshan only felt that each stone was aimed at her head. It was getting closer and closer. Just when she thought her head was going to be smashed, it suddenly flew past her ear. She could even hear the sound of the wind in her ear. Stop! The man was anxious. He quickly protected Ji Shanshan in his arms. She was wrong. I apologize on her behalf, but you've already benefited. Don't be calculative with her. Jing Yunjiao paused. Benefit? When did she benefit? Chapter 333. She had only stayed in this place for one night. During that time, she had not seen anyone. She had only received a prescription in the morning. How could she have benefited from it? Could it be that being chased and beaten up by someone was a benefit? Jing Yunjiao was confused. Tell me clearly, why is she targeting me? A hint of mockery flashed in the man's eyes. We're all smart people. Since you're here, it's impossible that you don't know. Since you took the invitation and stayed in the elder's room, everyone will naturally give you a gift later. You're here on behalf of the elder, so you're an elder. However, you're not the elder, so everyone will have to give you some leeway in the competition later. To put it bluntly, you're the predetermined champion. Once you get the reputation and the gift, you can leave without a fight. Everyone will have to serve you and even think of ways to build a relationship with you. The man enunciated each word clearly. After he finished speaking, Jing Yunjiao's face darkened. She turned to look at the other three people behind her, only to find that their expressions were not too good either. Why do you have to give me a gift and give me leeway? Jing Yunjiao said with a cold face. Because you suspect that I'm Elder Su's disciple, so you have to give him face? Since you already know, why ask? We'll all keep our thoughts to ourselves. However, Shanshan is young and hot-headed. This morning, Cui Jun went to your room and waited for an hour. Of course, she's angry, the man said again. Jing Yunjiao was a little angry. She thought that she had the strength. Although the invitation was given by Elder Su, she was prepared to win with her strength. She did not expect this at all. At this moment, she was in a daze, but in the next second, she calmed down. Elder Su knew the situation better than she did. Since he still asked her to come, he must have his reasons. There are many ways to give Elder Su face. It's fine if you're polite, but if you want to give me a gift or go easy on me, that's your own choice. I didn't ask for anything from you. If you shamelessly give it to me, then it's your own style that's wrong. Moreover, this Cui Jun is standing in front of my room because he has bad intentions. What does it have to do with me? You're wrong to think that Elder Su is a calculative person. Jing Yunjiao shouted coldly. He suddenly felt that he was too arrogant. With that said, she suddenly understood why Elder Su didn't come. Old Man Su was obsessed with making medicine. He was sincere and respectful towards medicinal herbs. However, these people thought that since he was a senior, they should curry favor with him, avoid him, or even build a relationship with him. In reality, this was an insult to Old Man Su. They were insulting his character and his passion in concocting medicinal herbs. Elder Su looked cold on the outside, but his heart was not cold. It was just that he was used to being paranoid and was not used to getting along with others. She had been with him for so long, so she deeply knew that he hoped that the younger generation could have greater achievements in the pharmaceutical industry than anyone else. Take her as an example. Occasionally, when she was concocting medicinal herbs, she would find some problems with Elder Su's concoction. Every time this happened, not only would Elder Su not be angry, he would even praise her. For someone like him, using such dishonest methods to curry favor with him was simply hitting the horse's leg. After Jing Yunjiao finished speaking, the siblings and Cui Jun's faces turned ugly. Weren't they afraid that the senior would blame them? Now that this girl said it, it was their fault. Chapter 334. Ji Shanshan and her brothers' faces turned ugly from anger. Cui Jun, who was called out by Jing Yunjiao for harboring evil intentions, had a stomach full of anger. Today, he didn't want to curry favor with this unknown girl, but his father strictly ordered him to give it a try. This was because Elder Su's identity was not simple, and he was not an ordinary master pharmacist. He had participated in a medicine gathering before, and after that, he had never appeared again. All this time, no one had come with an old senior's letter. This was the first time. It was impossible for everyone not to think about it. This girl might be Su Lao's heir, or even his last disciple. However, they didn't know what kind of relationship she had with Su Lao. Therefore, most people wanted to find out more. The adults couldn't lower themselves to come here, so they could only send a young man to inquire about it. On the other hand, Cui Jun had always been arrogant. It was one thing for his father to allow him to interact with a girl he didn't know, but the other party just had to ignore him. Instantly, anger rose in his heart. He felt that Jing Yunjiao's eyes were too high, and she looked down on him. On the other hand, because of Cui Jun, Ji Shanshan didn't have a good impression of Jing Yunjiao. Now that Jing Yunjiao knew her current situation, she could understand Ji Shanshan's attitude towards her. She found it funny. Even if she wanted to please her, shouldn't she at least show some sincerity? Now, she came to make trouble for her. It was the first time she saw such sincerity. Brother, she might have stolen the letter. Didn't our father say that Su Lao had only attended one medicine conference in the capital? How could he give the letter to someone else? I think this girl is a fake. Ji Shanshan said angrily. She dared to say that Cui Jun had evil intentions? If this girl hadn't come out of nowhere to seduce Cui Jun with Su Lao's name, he wouldn't have taken the initiative. Ji Shanshan, stop it. Cui Jun didn't say anything. Why are you meddling? The man was angry. Cui Jun was using his sister as a target. Cui Jun was afraid that he had fallen behind in front of this girl, but he was unwilling to accept it. Therefore, he asked his sister to make trouble for him. Damn it. Ji Shanshan felt wronged after being yelled at. How am I meddling in this? I don't believe that she's Elder Su's disciple. Besides, what's so great about Elder Su? Isn't he just a little older? Why should we curry favor with him? Jing Yunzhao smiled. That's right. Why? It was because he didn't have enough, but he still wanted more. Indeed, I'm not Elder Su's disciple, Jing Yunzhao said. So, in the following matches, let's see who's better. I can also guarantee that regardless of whether I win or lose, Elder Su will not interfere. Everyone present was stunned, but then they heard Jing Yunzhao say, As for the gifts, I won't stop you if you want to give them to me. But let me make it clear first. Even if I get the gifts, I won't mention it in front of Elder Su. Also, seduction won't work on me. I'm here to compete, not to pick a man. Even if I want to pick, I won't pick trash like this. She had never seen such a clumsy honey trap. Was that even a honey trap? He was conceited, selfish, and full of schemes. She wouldn't want such a man even if he was given to her. Only a simple-minded person like Ji Shanshan would treat such a man as a treasure. Cui Jun's face turned ugly. Ji Shanshan was still hooting. Who are you calling trash? I think you're the one who's calling trash. What's so great about you? You're just a little lucky. If you have the ability, you can do what you say. You're saying nice things now, but who knows what you'll do behind Elder Su's back. Jing Yunzhao used to hate Ji Shanshan quite a bit, but now, she was treating her with a bit of special respect. He knew that she was related to Elder Su, but he still dared to offend her. Although he was a little stupid, at least he didn't curry favor with the rich and powerful. What a pity. Chapter 335. Jing Yunzhao casually tossed the remaining stones in his hand behind him and dusted his hands. He glanced at Ji Shanshan and coldly said, I've already made my stance clear. If you lose in the end, then it's your own fault. But if you still push the blame on me, then it's only natural for me to ridicule you. After that, Jing Yunzhao lifted his foot and left. Ji Shanshan was furious, and the others looked at each other. Did she really say that? After a while, they returned to the courtyard, surrounded by middle-aged men. Yes, I think this girl has some backbone. She doesn't need us to go easy on her, right? Ji Shanshan's brother said with some uncertainty. Ji Shanshan snorted. Go easy on her? In any case, I've already offended her. It's pointless to go easy on her. Didn't you see how proud she was? She acted as if she was the best in the world. Isn't she just riding on Su Lao's coattails? That Su Lao is really too much. If he doesn't want to come, then just don't come. Why did he give the invitation to someone else? Ji Shanshan's words infuriated the father and son of the Ji family. Cui Jun was too arrogant. If he didn't want to go and curry favor with that girl, then so be it. But after he did, he urged Ji Shanshan to provoke her. Even if he wanted to test her temper, he shouldn't have used such a method. Now, that girl would inevitably bear a grudge against all of them. Forget it. Since she said so, then we'll do as she said. No gifts. As for the competition, we'll do our best. If she doesn't have much strength, then we'll make her lose in a way that won't embarrass Su Lao. One of them said. As soon as he said that, everyone around him nodded in agreement. At this time, Jing Yunzhao had been wandering around the medicine field for a long time. The outside world was different from the space. The soil, air, and even the weather could affect the quality of the herbs. However, she would definitely build her own medicine base in the future. She couldn't rely on the space for everything, so she observed carefully. After wandering outside for a day, Jing Yunzhao returned to her residence. Many people were near the courtyard's warehouse. Jing Yunzhao went over to take a look and saw that there were all kinds of things outside, such as rice, vinegar, wheat bran, and so on. Upon seeing her, the crowd parted to make a path for her. Most of the people here were relatively young. Some of them were inspecting the quality of the things on the ground. The few people who had appeared in front of her in the morning were discussing seriously. These are all auxiliary materials used to concoct medicinal herbs. Most of the medicinal herbs need to be stir-fried. Even ginseng is the same. I also heard that the temperature of the water used to clean ginseng varies according to the seasons. Warm water is used in winter, cold water is used in spring, summer, and autumn, and honey is used to roast it. It's complicated. They chatted and laughed. When they saw Jing Yunzhao, Ji Shanshan said, "Hey you, do you know how to use these things?" Jing Yunzhao's expression didn't change. "I'm not that guy. I have a name and a surname, Jing Yunzhao." As soon as this name was mentioned, these young people felt that it was somewhat familiar. You're that poor and bitter orphan who was abused by his adoptive father?" One of them suddenly pointed at Jing Yunzhao. No wonder she looked familiar. It turned out that she was a famous person. When the others heard this, their expressions became a little strange. Chapter 336. Jing Yunzhao had already stated that she was not Old Master Su's apprentice, but in their opinion, even if she wasn't, she should be the daughter or granddaughter of one of Old Master Su's close friends. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her to enjoy such an honor. They didn't expect her to be an ordinary person from a small town. However, not everyone knew the name Jing Yunzhao. Most of the people present were relatively young and often paid attention to information on the internet, so they recognized her. Ji Shanshan looked at her suspiciously. She felt that Jing Yunzhao had changed too much. She had also seen reports about Jing Yunzhao on the internet, but those videos weren't specially processed. Even though the images were clear, it was different from television dramas. It wasn't high definition, so at that time, she only thought that Jing Yunzhao was pretty and her attention was attracted by her background. So when they saw Jing Yunzhao after such a long time, no one was able to recognize her. In fact, because of her relationship with Cui Jun, she was completely labeled as an annoying person. However, now that she knew her true identity, Ji Shanshan was a little shocked. Thinking back to when she first saw those videos, she even fiercely scolded that Xiao Bastard's adoptive father. When she saw Jing Yunzhao being smashed until her head was bleeding, she was even sadder for a long time. She even begged her parents to send Jing Yunzhao some medicine that she could use on a daily basis. Even though the medicine had all been donated by Jing Yunzhao in the school, she still felt that she had already done enough and felt a lot better. However, at that time, she didn't expect to meet Jing Yunzhao face to face one day. There weren't many people who recognized Jing Yunzhao, but there were still 3 or 4 of them. When the people around them asked a few more questions, everyone fell silent. Ji Shanshan had mixed feelings. After all, the difference was too big. However, those who didn't quite understand felt relieved. Since she didn't come from a powerful family and wasn't Elder Su's disciple, there was a high chance that she came here for some other reason. It was even possible that, as Ji Shanshan had said, she had picked up or stolen the invitation. Almost instantly, many people were less polite to her. "So you're called Jing Yunzhao. Shan had even donated something to you before. You two are really fated," Cui Jun suddenly said from the side. Ji Shanshan suddenly felt a little nervous. She glanced at Jing Yunzhao and changed the topic. "It's just some herbs. If I knew she was capable, I wouldn't be so stupid. By the way, answer my question. Don't tell me you don't even know how to use these things?" Jing Yunzhao raised her eyebrows. She found an interesting fact. Although Ji Shanshan had a bad temper and was blunt, she wasn't a bad person's character. "I know about 17 processing methods. Fire, burning, drying, roasting, simmering, stir-frying, forging, refining, drying, exposing, and dehydrating. As for the ginseng you just mentioned, there are actually many kinds. Each processing method is different. Cotinopsis palacula is processed with warm water in winter and cold water in spring, summer, and autumn, but not all ginseng are processed like this. For example, Sephora, Salvia miltioriza, and figwort. As for these supplementary ingredients, Jing Yunzhao pointed at the wheat bran and continued, "Wheat bran has a sweet and mild taste. It has a neutralizing effect. After being fried, it has a fragrant aroma. It can strengthen the stomach and reduce the odor. Generally, it is used to make medicines that strengthen the spleen and stomach and have a stimulating and fishy smell. For example, fried atractylodes macrocephala, fried silkworm, fried nutmeg. Rice is mainly made of japonica and glutinous rice, such as fried Cotinopsis palacula with japonica and glutinous rice to make model pincers." Chapter 337. Jing Yunzhao went on and on until Cui Jun's face turned green. They were only 17 or 18 years old and were still in school. Even if they had contact with the business of medicinal herbs at home, they would still have a good understanding of it. They would only occasionally hear about it from adults. They were not like Jing Yuanzhao, who spoke of all kinds of technical terms. There were so many supplementary materials here. If he explained each one in detail, he might not be able to explain it thoroughly even after a few hours. There were also the 17 concocting methods. Some of them looked very similar, but the differences were great. They were all the basics of making medicine. This vial is the color of a palm, and it's also relatively fresh. It should be from a cow. Even though it smells bad, it's bitter and cold in nature. It can remove heat and brighten one's eyes. If you use Arasima's bile to make it, it can remove its dryness and has the effect of clearing heat and extinguishing wind. Jing Yunzhao continued. Ji Shanshan was about to faint. Stop, stop, stop. You know all these things? Ji Shanshan couldn't help but ask. She had also learned medicinal herbs from her parents. However, she was still stuck in the aspect of recognizing medicinal herbs because it involved too many things. Although they were not doctors, they had to know the characteristics of each medicinal herb. Moreover, they were more capable than doctors. They could recognize the authenticity of medicinal herbs, their age, and even their age at a glance. Since you want to make medicine, you naturally have to know all these things, Jing Yunzhao said. These things were stored in her memory, and she had already memorized them word by word. Since she met Su Lao, she had memorized a lot of pharmaceutical theories. Every Saturday, she would go to Su Lao's courtyard to experiment. With the help of the spirit jade and Su Lao, if she was still at the beginner stage, she would be hopeless. Aren't you an orphan? People on the internet said that you were bullied by your adoptive father when you were young. How could you know these things? Are you lying to the netizens? Cui Jun asked immediately. He could understand some of it, but if he had to point it out one by one and explain all the details, he knew he couldn't do it. Their parents should be able to do it, but that was decades of nonstop learning. In his father's words, there was no need for him to memorize or learn anything related to concocting medicine. As long as he came into contact with medicinal herbs, he would be influenced by them sooner or later. Jing Yunzhao hated this kind of despicable person who always used other people's past as an excuse. When Ji Shanshan found out that she was Jing Yunzhao, she immediately changed the topic. However, Cui Jun kept bringing it up. When Cui Jun said that, Tong Yin frowned. Cui Jun, you're exposing other people's shortcomings. Ji Shanshan was also a little embarrassed, but she also felt that Jing Yunzhao was suspicious. Her expression was very conflicted. Just because I didn't have a good life when I was young, does that mean that I will never be able to raise my head again? Cui Jun, you peed in your pants when you were young, right? Then can I say that you're still wearing diapers? Jing Yunzhao's words made the corners of the mouths of the people around him twitch. Ji Shanshan's eyes flashed. She felt that Jing Yunzhao was right, but she sided with Cui Jun. You shouldn't talk like that. It's rude. Then tell me, what is upbringing? Should we be like you? I'm sorry, but I really can't do it. After saying that, Jing Yunzhao suddenly walked to a bag of money in front of them. She pointed at the soil and said, Who sent this here? The supplementary soil is usually hearth soil or lust soil, right? Jing Yunzhao's expression changed suddenly. Even Cui Jun and the others subconsciously looked over. Chapter 338. There was a lot of hard soil in the bag, and it was dark in color. Isn't it marked with hearth soil? Is there something wrong with your eyes? Ji Shanshan asked directly. Jing Yunzhao smiled. Miss, don't open your mouth if you don't know anything. I know you're a joke the moment you open your mouth. You're someone who has studied medicine before, so you should know what hearth soil is, right? Isn't it just scorched soil from a stove? Ji Shanshan said angrily. That's right, but you're not telling the whole story. Hearth soil is also called crouching dragon liver. It's a lump of soil from the bottom of a stove used to burn firewood or weeds. Some of it is yellow in color, but some of it is purple or dark brown in color after being refined in fire for a long time. Its medicinal properties are also good. It's as hard as stone, and it's slightly warm. It can warm the stomach, stop bleeding, and stop vomiting. If I'm not mistaken, it should be scorched soil from burning coal, right? Jing Yunzhao said in one breath. She had been with Elder Su for a long time, so she couldn't tolerate this kind of thing. Jing Yunzhao's words stunned everyone present. One of the older people immediately went forward to inspect it, and his expression became unnatural. Soil from burning coal, no matter how old it was, couldn't be compared to real crouching dragon liver. There was a certain amount of poison in coal, and everyone knew what kind of effect it would have after using it. But the problem was that this was a medicine exhibition, and the things they collected should be of the best quality. How could such a mistake happen? Moreover, the herbs were checked before they were brought in. Jing Yunzhao had talked a lot today, and her mouth was dry. She had never been someone who liked to be in the limelight, but now that this matter was related to Old Man Su's reputation, she had to be in the limelight. It would also let others see that Old Man Su's invitation wasn't something that could be casually thrown out. She, Jing Yunzhao, had the ability. After she found out about such a big mistake, someone had already gone to find the person in charge. This medicine fair was actually jointly organized by several master pharmacists. The master pharmacists competed with each other, and there were also disciples competing with each other. There were even children competing with each other. For example, the Ji family and the Cui family. Even if Jing Yunzhao didn't have a good impression of them, they still couldn't be underestimated. The Ji family's ancestors had once concocted medicine for the palace. Thus, among the group of master pharmacists, the Ji family's status was relatively high. The Cui family's ancestors were also famous. Now that something had happened, it was time for everyone to correct each other's mistakes and shift the blame. Jing Yunzhao really didn't want to see such a scene, so he turned around and left. However, after such a commotion, the people who said that Jing Yunzhao was incapable of causing trouble disappeared. No matter how strong she was still stronger than her peers. Of course, even though some people used their strength to speak, there was still a portion of people who only remembered her tragic past. Seeing that she didn't care at all, they couldn't wait to tell everyone what kind of background she, Jing Yunzhao, had, and how lowly her background was. And among this group of people, Cui Jun was the leader. However, after being mocked by her, Cui Jun probably felt embarrassed and didn't appear in front of Jing Yunzhao for 2 or 3 days. It was said that he temporarily left because he had something to do. Since Cui Jun wasn't around, the others were more polite to Jing Yunzhao. Especially Ji Shanshan, her attitude was much better than before. Occasionally, she would appear in front of her with Tong Yin and take her to the nearby mountains to take a look. However, this person was more stubborn. On the surface, he was unconvinced, but he still looked like a cannon that would explode at the slightest provocation. After the 3 of them went down the mountain that night, a little girl ran over to Ji Shanshan and said, "Ji Shanshan, Cui Jun brought his cousin over. The 2 of them are studying the medicinal seeds." Chapter 339. After spending 2 or 3 days together, Jing Yunzhao knew that Ji Shanshan adored Cui Jun. It was said that the Ji and Cui families were close and the 2 were childhood sweethearts. Beauty was in the eye of the beholder. In Ji Shanshan's eyes, there was nothing wrong with Cui Jun. In the past 2 days, whenever she was with Jing Yunzhao and Tong Yin, she would mention Cui Jun out of the blue. To put it bluntly, she was a girl who prioritized love above all else. Now that she heard that Cui Jun had returned, she practically jumped up in joy. She no longer cared about Jing Yunzhao and Tong Yin as she ran towards the backyard. Shanshan is actually not a bad person. She's just a chatterbox and easily believes people. Tong Yin also spoke up for Ji Shanshan. Jing Yunzhao nodded and did not express her opinion. The friends around her were relatively rational and even smart. Xiao Haiqing was like that. Although Suchu was soft and cute, she was also good at thinking about the pros and cons. Not to mention the 2 boys, Tang Zihua and Gan Jinchen. She was used to interacting with people like them. When she interacted with Ji Shanshan again, she felt that it was pointless to talk to them. She could only be straightforward. However, the moment she spoke directly, Ji Shanshan would raise her voice and confront her, as if they were quarreling. Therefore, although Ji Shanshan insisted on dragging her along these few days, they did not talk much. Seeing that Jing Yunzhao did not speak, Tong Yin said, "You be careful when you go back. Cui Jun left this time to find someone to embarrass you. You might not know this, but Cui Jun's cousin, donated a lot of money and things to you. She's also a disciple of the Chui family and has been very sensitive to medicine since young. She can basically learn everything about medicine after being taught once. She's a real genius. She's also very good at her studies and always came on the last day of every year. There were still a few days before the final competition, 2 or 3 days. It was obvious that he was targeting her. Jing Yunjiao was very interested, especially after hearing Tong Yan's words. She wanted to know what this genius looked like. The two followed behind Ji Shanshan and arrived at the backyard 2 minutes later. As soon as they entered, they saw the cousin of the Chui family that Tong Yin mentioned. She looked natural and unrestrained, with a peaceful, immortal aura around her. She looked to be in her early 20s and was wearing a white coat. Her long hair was draped over her shoulders, and her eyes were curved. She had an otherworldly demeanor. As soon as Jing Yunjiao arrived, the other party's gaze also landed on her. Her eyes were filled with scrutiny, sizing her up from head to toe. Then, with a gentle smile, she walked over and extended her hand. Jing Yunjiao, it's really you. However, you seem to have become much prettier a few months ago. Seeing that you're living such a good life, I'm relieved. Jing Yunjiao raised his eyebrows. Sure enough, they were coming with great momentum. Thank you for your concern, Jing Yunjiao said politely. Although the other party was deliberately stirring up trouble, one would not slap a smiling face. If she were to target the other party from the start, then she would be unreasonable. 2 days ago, I heard from my cousin that you know how to concoct medicine. I didn't believe it at first and thought that he might have mistaken you for someone else. Who knew that he would look so sure? That's why I came to take a look. As Cousin Chui spoke, she raised her hand to touch her head. Jing Yunjiao avoided her gaze, and the other party's hand was empty. However, she only paused for a moment. I'm sorry. The moment I see you, my heart aches. You're so beautiful, so I couldn't help but want to comfort you. If I've offended your pride, I'm really sorry. This Cousin Chui had always been kind. However, since she wanted to put on an act, Jing Yunjiao was more than happy to oblige. I heard that you're Chui Jun's cousin. You do look alike, especially your personality. Bloodline is indeed a mysterious thing. The other party's face stiffened. How could she not know that Jing Yunjiao had insulted Chui Jun? Evil intentions, trash? And now, he was saying that she looked like Chui Jun? Chapter 340. Jing Yunjiao's temperament was cold, but when she said this, there was a faint smile on her face. In the eyes of the Chui family's cousins, that was contempt. The cousins squeezed out a smile. Do we look alike? Little Jun is a boy. I'm different from him, but he has a good heart. If there was any misunderstanding between you two before, I apologize on his behalf. I hope you won't take it to heart, okay? What are you talking about? It's just an unrelated person. Jing Yunjiao was still very calm. The two of them looked like they were having a very ordinary conversation, but in the eyes of outsiders, there was an inexplicable tit-for-tat between the two of them, as if they were about to fight. The atmosphere was a little strangely tense. Ji Shanshan couldn't understand it, so she didn't even bother to care. She stood in front of Chui Jun and said, Why did you let Cousin Chui come? Don't tell me you're looking for trouble with Jing Yunjiao? Chui Jun, we're not that kind of people. If she has the ability to participate, then it's her business. I don't want to care. She started to target Jing Yunjiao because she made Chui Jun wait at the door for more than an hour. She liked Chui Jun, and since they were young, she had never made him wait. Every time the two of them met, she would arrive a long time in advance, which was why she couldn't stand it. However, in the 2 days that Chui Jun wasn't around, she found that Jing Yunjiao wasn't as bad as she thought. At the very least, she didn't have any thoughts about Chui Jun, and she didn't know that Chui Jun was at the door. She was a person who made a clear distinction between love and hate. If Jing Yunjiao was wrong, then she would definitely not let her go. But since she wasn't wrong, then what was the point of her going down a dead end? However, Ji Shanshan's words were very harsh in Chui Jun's ears. He didn't like such a stupid girl. When they were young, she was slow to react and impatient. He could say that she was cute, but now she was still like this. She only grew a head, but not a brain. He imagined that his future girlfriend would be like his cousin, smart and talented, as if she had a halo around her. No matter where she went, she would attract people's attention. His cousin went to university in Serene City, and no matter what, she was incomparably outstanding. It was a pity that there were too few people like her. Don't talk nonsense, Ji Shanshan. My cousin is Jing Yunjiao's benefactor. When she was in school, she organized her classmates to donate money to Jing Yunjiao. She also gave him a lot of clothes, shoes, and various learning materials. She just heard that Jing Yunjiao is now a pharmacist, so she was curious and came to take a look. Besides, she used to come every year. What's so strange about it? Cui Jun immediately said. Ji Shanshan pursed her lips. Don't be mad. I was just saying. But then again, didn't Jing Yunjiao give everything to someone else? Cousin Cui's donation has nothing to do with her anymore. Ji Shanshan turned her head and said to Cousin Cui, Cousin, don't tell me you're Jing Yunjiao's benefactor? Don't make me laugh to death. He doesn't lack anything at all. That's just wishful thinking. Cui Jun frowned. How can you talk to my cousin like that? Ji Shanshan didn't like this Cousin Cui. In fact, she hated her very much. She took advantage of the fact that she was a few years older than Cui Jun and her. She would always teach Cui Jun and her that they should study hard and not fall in love early. Every time Cui Jun was with her, this cousin would call him. She would either ask Cui Jun to buy something for her, or something happened at home. In short, this woman was especially troublesome. She had a good relationship with Cui Jun, so she couldn't do anything about it. She had made up her mind to marry Cui Jun when she grew up, but if there was one factor that could affect her thoughts, it was none other than this cousin. When she thought of having such a sister-in-law in the future, her head was about to explode. Chapter 341. However, Jing Yunjiao, Tong Yin, and the others didn't know that Ji Shanshan was thinking so much. They were a little surprised to hear her help. Shanshan, you're wrong. As the saying goes, a drop of water should be repaid with a gushing spring, and a person's kindness will be remembered for 1,000 years. Cousin has done so much for her. Even if Jing Yunjiao is useless, she should still be grateful. Cui Jun said again. Ji Shanshan heard that, and suddenly remembered the trick Jing Yunjiao used to deal with her. Her eyes lit up. Cousin, you've been in the Cui family for so many years. I don't think your life is very good. I'll send you some clothes later. All right, if you need money, I'll ask my dad to give you 10,000. How about that? Cousin Cui smiled. Shanshan, the Cui family has been very good to me. I don't need it. If you have the heart, you can give it to Jing Yunjiao. I don't care. Anyway, if I think you need it, you need it. After I give it to you, you must be grateful to me all the time. A person's kindness will be remembered for 1,000 years, right? Cui Jun? Ji Shanshan forced a smile and was very proud of herself. It was enough that she was good to Cui Jun. As for Cousin Cui, she hated her. Jing Yunjiao's lips curled. Tong Yin couldn't help but feel happy. Cui Jun looked at his cousin in panic. He blamed Ji Shanshan even more in his heart. However, the Ji family and the Cui family had always been on good terms. Sometimes, their family would need the Ji family's help. Therefore, although he disliked Ji Shanshan, he couldn't completely cut ties with her. Therefore, he felt even more aggrieved. However, Ji Shanshan cared about Cui Jun. Seeing his expression getting worse, she restrained herself. Anyway, she had already won. After Ji Shanshan's antics, Cousin Cui's expression was already a bit unsightly. She looked at Jing Yunjiao and said gently, You can't be thinking that I gave you something just to make you remember my kindness, right? Jing Yunjiao looked at her deeply. If there's no kindness, why would I remember it? I don't care. It's just that the money I donated to you was gathered by my classmates. I hope you can study hard in the future and repay them, Cousin Cui said again. What he said was self-contradictory. One moment, he had asked her not to remember his kindness, and the next, he wanted her to repay him. Although she didn't accept the donation, she didn't dislike it. After all, those people were kind. It was just that Jing Yunjiao couldn't stand the moral blackmail after the donation. Moreover, if she had expressed her intentions directly, she would have admired her a little. But now, she was beating around the bush to get her to repay her kindness, yet she still had to show a noble and virtuous attitude, which made her feel disgusted. Cousin Cui, The school has announced to the public many times that I don't need any donations, right? Jing Yunjiao said solemnly. Cousin Shui nodded. But everyone has good intentions. After all, you've suffered so much for so many years. That's what you think. Jing Yunjiao's attitude was slightly cold. If I was the one who asked for everyone's help, you can say whatever you want now. I will repay what I owe you. But I was the one who was passive. I did not touch a single cent of the donations. What do you mean by asking me to repay you now? Jing Yunjiao, I didn't ask for your repayment. Cousin Shui looked shocked, as if she was afraid that others would misunderstand her. It's right to help others. On one hand, I did come this time because I care about you. On the other hand, I came to attend the medicine conference. Since you don't want my repayment, you don't have to treat me like this. I can't afford it. Besides, you're here to attend the medicine conference, and so am I. If you continue to look at me like a condescending savior, I'm afraid I won't be able to stand it and throw you out in front of me. There's no "don't hit women" in my dictionary. Chapter 342. The courtyard was bustling with noise. Everyone was in a group. Some were conversing with each other, while others were competing. Jing Yunjiao's surroundings became quiet because of her words. Cousin Shui's mouth was slightly open, revealing an extremely frightened expression, as if she had been greatly threatened by Jing Yunjiao. Cui Jun was furious. No one had ever been so disrespectful to his cousin. How can you be so unreasonable? My cousin has been so good to you. Not only did she feel sad for you, she even helped you raise funds. It's fine if you didn't even say a word of thanks, but you actually wanted to hit her. What right do you have to hit her? Don't you dare touch my cousin. Cui Jun immediately roared. His voice was extremely loud and unrestrained, interrupting the thoughts of many people around him. Some people saw that this cousin of the Cui family had arrived and were somewhat shocked. Many people had already walked over. Especially when they heard Cui Jun's words, they were even more astonished. It was hard to imagine that Jing Yunjiao, a girl who looked so thin and weak, would actually make such a threatening action. The situation became tense for a moment. These days, Jing Yunjiao had been fighting and killing with Hua Zhe every day. Her entire person carried an aura that could not be defied. At this moment, when Cui Jun's words were spoken, Jing Yunjiao's fierce gaze and murderous attitude made people feel a chill in their hearts. They were somewhat at a loss for what to do. Cui Jun's gaze was absent-minded for a moment, and that feeling of fear flashed past. But in the next moment, he could not help but feel that it was funny. Why should he be afraid of Jing Yunjiao? She was just a little girl. Could it be that she would really throw his cousin, or him out like she had just said? Not to mention that she could not do it. Even if she could, the people in this courtyard were not incompetent. Moreover, if they were to fight and cause trouble here, the consequences would be very serious. Jing Yunjiao had read the description of the Medicinal Association. Naturally, she would not foolishly send herself forward and be used against her. At this moment, she lightly snorted, looked at Cousin Shui, and said with a smile, I heard that you have a photographic memory and are very familiar with the medicinal properties of medicinal herbs. You are also very proficient in making medicine, right? Of course. Cousin Shui's face was filled with pride. If that's the case, then let's have a competition. If I win, you apologize to me and take Cui Jun and scram. If you win, I'll hand over the herbs I brought with both hands and also leave. What do you think? Jing Yunjiao continued. The other party looked at her with suspicion. Jing Yunjiao, you don't have to do this. If you don't want me to talk about your past, then I won't talk about it. Just pretend that my classmates and I didn't donate anything to you. What do you think? The woman said again. Jing Yunjiao's eyes turned cold. You don't dare? Jing Yunjiao, you only know the basics. My cousin has already learned everything you know. Aren't you just looking for trouble if you want to compete with her? Also, why should my cousin take me away when she lost? What are those medicinal herbs of yours? If you want to compete, let's do it big. You have to promise on the spot that you will not learn to make medicine in the future. No matter what your relationship with Elder Su is, you will not have any contact with him from now on. Cui Jun suddenly said on a whim. He only felt that his whole body was much more energetic. When he thought that Jing Yuanzhao was about to lose and cry, he was simply overjoyed. He did not know why he hated this girl so much. Perhaps it was because he felt that she was too eye-catching. Or perhaps it was because she should not be so eye-catching, but she stood on a higher level than him, which made him uncomfortable. Chapter 343. Hearing this, Jing Yuanzhao chuckled. Okay, but since you want me to bet on a big one, shouldn't the two of you pay a little? Jing Yuanzhao added. Everyone became excited as well. They had been competing in private for the past few days, but everyone had restrained themselves a little, afraid that others would see through them. Rather than calling it a competition, it would be better to call it an inquiry. However, this was the first time they had been in such an aggressive situation where they wanted to place bets. What do you want us to bet on? Jing Yuanzhao, just say it, Cousin Chui said. If I win, the two of you will be removed from the pharmaceutical industry. After Jing Yuanzhao finished speaking, she asked Tong Yin to go to her room and take out the things she had prepared. If you think it's a loss to exchange one for two, this medicinal herb will be my bet. After that, Jing Yuanzhao opened the brocade box. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw it. There was a ginseng in the brocade box. The ginseng was long and flawless. It was obviously a wild variety and had been growing for many years, not to mention a few million. If it met a stubborn person, they would buy it even if it cost tens of millions. The ginseng that Jing Yuanzhao took out at this time was better than the one she sold to Su Lao. At this medicine conference, everyone had to show one or two medicinal herbs. Regardless of the price, they only looked at the rise and efficacy of the herbs. Of course, it was also to increase their fame and fortune. Jing Yuanzhao didn't know the situation at first. After Su Lao instructed her, she directly picked this ginseng. After she came and read the explanation of the medicine conference, she understood. Therefore, she originally planned to give this ginseng to Su Lao after the medicine conference as a way of thanking him for teaching her. As soon as Jing Yuanzhao took out the ginseng, the people around were stunned, let alone Cui Jun and Cousin Chui. Cui Jun was fine. Although he knew that ginseng was good, he didn't know much about ginseng and couldn't know its exact value. However, Cousin Chui knew. It was because of this that she was jealous and her heart beat faster. Some of the others were already annoyed. If they could get such a good ginseng by winning a competition, they would definitely compete with Jing Yuanzhao. However, there was only one such good ginseng. It was a pity that Cousin Chui got the opportunity. Everyone looked at the cousins of the Chui family enviously. Cousin Chui's eyes were burning. She knew that she couldn't refuse, even at the risk of being removed from the list. Of course, she did not think that she would lose to Jing Yuanzhao. Her parents didn't treat her well and left her in the Chui family. Since she was young, she knew that she was living under someone else's roof, so she could only try her best to cater to the Chui family. Fortunately, she was talented in medicinal herbs, had a keen sense of smell, and had a good memory, so she was put in an important position in the Chui family. How could someone like her lose to Jing Yuanzhao, who didn't have any family background? It's fine if you don't want to bet. Just take it as a joke. Jing Yuanzhao suddenly changed his tone when he saw their expressions. He was about to put away the ginseng as he spoke. I'll bet. Cousin Chui immediately shouted when she saw this. After shouting, her face was as red as a cloud. She knew that her reaction was too intense, but what could she do? If Jing Yuanzhao really regretted it, she would definitely regret it for the rest of her life. If she won this ginseng, she would have capital. Its value was not low, and it was enough for her to leave the Chui family. Jing Yuanzhao sneered. You weren't like this just now. You said that you would raise money for me and that you wouldn't ask for anything in return. You were so righteous. It turns out that's all. Chapter 344. Jing Yuanzhao lowered her head and looked at the ginseng in her hand. She stroked it gently, and her smile didn't disappear. It was especially dazzling in Cousin Chui's eyes. She couldn't pretend anymore, but if she could get the thing in her hand, she didn't have to continue pretending to be kind. Everyone wanted good things. She wanted it too. What was wrong with that? You don't have to mock me. You were the one who proposed the bet, and you took out the ginseng yourself. Since you said so, how can I not agree? Cousin Chui said. She was afraid that Jing Yuanzhao would regret it. So she added, "But Jing Yunjiao, I'm not an unreasonable person. You've had a difficult life since you were young. If you don't want to bet, I can understand." How could Jing Yunjiao not know that she was purposely using her past to provoke her? However, this tactic was no longer as effective against her now. "Since you're so kind and want to forgive me, then forget it." Jing Yunjiao looked up and smiled. Cousin Chui's heart shook violently, and she secretly gritted her teeth. Chui Jun saw this and was deeply moved by his cousin's thoughts. He believed in his cousin's ability and immediately said, "Bet. Why shouldn't you bet? You clearly provoked my cousin just now, and now you regret it after taking out the ginseng. What do you take my cousin for? What do you take this place for? I'm betting with her, not with you. What right do you have to be arrogant?" Jing Yunjiao mercilessly glared back. "It's your cousin's decision whether to bet or not. With such a great temptation, if she could resist it, then Jing Yunjiao would treat it as if she was blind and misunderstood her. In the future, when she saw this cousin Chui, she would accompany her politely." Cousin Chui's gaze was complicated. Her chin trembled slightly. After a while, she said, "Cousin is right. Since you want to bet, you should keep your word." "Do I need to state the bet again?" Jing Yunjiao smiled with satisfaction. Her eyebrows were raised, and she looked arrogant. Behind her, Ji Shanshan and Tong Yin were dumbfounded. Ji Shanshan was the most conflicted. She hoped that Cousin Chui would lose, but she also hoped that she would win. If Cousin Chui won, she would feel really uncomfortable, because she would be even more arrogant after taking away such a good thing. But if she lost, Chui Jun would be finished. If he couldn't make the medicine, it meant that he couldn't inherit the family business in the future, and the Chui family would be furious. Although it was only a small promise, this was the medicine fair, and a promise was worth 1,000 gold. If they didn't keep their word, then no one would be willing to associate with them in the future. Not only that, everyone would despise them, and even others would have enough reason to join forces to suppress them. Although it sounded like a fantasy, the truth was that direct and violent. "Words are no guarantee. Just sign the contract," Cousin Chui said anxiously. This contract might not be legally binding, but as long as one lived in this world, not only did they have to be bound by the law, their social circle was also very important. Jing Yunjiao nodded in agreement. Immediately, Ji Shanshan sent people to invite the more reputable seniors in the medicine fair. With everyone as witnesses, the bet was established. Jing Yunjiao used her own pharmaceutical future and a sky-high price to participate in the bet with Cousin Chui. The other two also used their futures to accompany her. The bet was too big. Even the Chui family didn't refuse. Because in their eyes, Cousin Chui's ability was extraordinary, and it was impossible for her to lose. Jing Yunjiao, who had no background and no heritage of a medicine family, even if she came in contact with Elder Su, she could only learn some basic knowledge. It was impossible for her to be so powerful. Besides, that ginseng could be used as a treasure to guard the house. If Cousin Chui Jun could win it, it would naturally belong to the Chui family. Chapter 345. Once the bet was made, the people from the Chui family looked at the ginseng in Jing Yunjiao's hands and became determined to get it. It was as if Jing Yunjiao had taken something from their family. "Since the ginseng is your bet, shouldn't you leave it with us to prevent any accidents?" Chui Jun's father asked. Chui Jun's father was in his 40s, and he looked very dignified. Jing Yunjiao found his words hilarious. Was he worried that she would go back on her word after losing? Jing Yunjiao glanced at everyone present, then walked over to Tong Yin and Ji Shanshan. He stuffed the ginseng box into Tong Yin's hands and said, "I'll leave this to you for now. If I lose, I'll give it away. But remember, it's not the Chui clan. It's the Chui clan's cousin. If I win, the ginseng will be returned to me. After this, I'll give each of you a gift as protection money. Is that okay?" The Chui clan's cousin was named Sun Yin. She was a greedy person the moment she saw the ginseng. She knew that she didn't necessarily want the ginseng to be given to the Chui clan. Miss Sun Yin would regret it for the rest of her life if she gave away such an expensive ginseng to someone else. Moreover, since she was betting with Sun Yin, she didn't have the right to give the ginseng to anyone else. She didn't want Sun Yin to go back on her word after giving it away. If Sun Yin really had the ability to take the ginseng from her, she would have to hand it over personally. Tong Yin and Ji Shanshan were stunned. They didn't expect Jing Yunjiao to hand such an important ginseng to them. The adults around them looked at them with burning eyes, as if their stomachs were rumbling with hunger. All right, leave it to me. Let me see if there's anything wrong with the ginseng, right? Ji Shanshan asked directly. Tong Yin suddenly hugged the ginseng box tightly and said, "Don't worry, I won't give this to anyone except you and Sun Yin." Tong Yin, let me take a look first. Stop fooling around. It's a loss if even a strand of ginseng root is lost. Tong Yin immediately said. The reason why Jing Yunjiao had taken a liking to these two people was, on one hand, because in the entire medicine fair, only these two people were familiar with her. On the other hand, relatively speaking, she also understood their personalities. Tong Yin was an upright and inflexible person. He did not speak much, but he did things sincerely and seriously. He had a gauge in his heart and knew clearly what was right and wrong. Although he was young, his character was steady and reliable. As for Ji Shanshan, although she was an idiot, this idiot was very stubborn and self-centered. Once she had decided on something, it was useless no matter who tried to persuade her. Although her attitude and tone were never pleasant, there was nothing wrong with her character. Jing Yunjiao glanced at Ji Shanshan. If I win, you can have a look at the ginseng. Now that this thing was the gambling capital, it naturally had to be kept in good condition. Ji Shanshan was excited when she heard this. She was certain that if Cousin Chui won, the ginseng would be taken away from her and Tong Yin immediately. She couldn't even look at it from afar, let alone have a closer look. Even if Cui Jun said so, it would be useless. Moreover, Cui Jun would never side with her in front of Sun Yin. However, this made her even more conflicted. Who should she hope to win? At this moment, Sun Yin also heaved a sigh of relief. Although Jing Yunjiao was annoying, she was very satisfied with what she had just said. If the ginseng was taken away by the Cui family, then she wouldn't have the ability to get it back. In that case, what was the point of this gamble? Now, she could finally do her best. Chapter 346. Now that the ginseng was in place, even if the old men were dissatisfied, they could only endure it as long as it wasn't in Jing Yunjiao's hands. The next moment, the elders began to discuss the competition. Jing Yunjiao had made a big bet, and Sun Yin was known for his intelligence, so the competition was divided into several different ways. In order to show their respect for this competition, they even tidied up the backyard and redesigned the venue. In a short period of time, the style of the courtyard had changed. There was an empty space in the middle for the judges to sit. As for the judges, there were 9 of them. They were all highly respected people in the medicine fair. Since the Cui family was involved, they naturally couldn't be judges. However, the Ji family was present. Old Ji, these 2 children are getting older. I'm afraid we might become in-laws in the future. Cui Jun's father stood in front of Master Ji before the competition began. Because the Ji family's ancestors were imperial physicians, they were born with an innate arrogance. Ji Shanshan's father and brother were like this, and even she was the same. Father Ji was also a shrewd man. How could he not understand the Cui family's intentions? They were just reminding them that the competition was about to start so that they could take a stand. Thinking of this, Father Ji felt a little stifled. Although he had a good relationship with the Cui family, they were only in the same line of business and could be considered an alliance. However, in terms of children, he really didn't like Cui Jun. Cui Jun was indeed handsome and had excellent grades. Although he wasn't proficient in medicine, even with his genes, he wouldn't be too bad in the future. However, he was too frivolous. This Cui Jun was arrogant, conceited, and condescending, but he was also full of schemes. His Ji family's daughter was also simple-minded. If she were to be with Cui Jun in the future, who knew how much she would be bullied by him? His daughter liked Cui Jun, but he didn't care about her feelings at all. He was usually cold and sarcastic, but whenever he needed her, he would lower his head and coax her. Only someone like his daughter would think that such a man was good. Just like 2 days ago, the conflict between Shanshan and Jing Yunjiao. Wasn't it because of Cui Jun? Fortunately, although this Jing Yunjiao was introduced by Elder Su, his status wasn't high. Otherwise, if the G family offended Elder Sue, they wouldn't have a good ending. Papa G's heart turned cold at that thought. How can a child's feelings be reliable? She might like it today, but her taste might change tomorrow. Papa G replied abruptly. Then, he added, look at her. She was so affectionate with your Cui Jun before, and now she's having so much fun with Tong Yin. Children at this age are the most fickle. When Father Cui heard this, his face turned green. It wasn't that he couldn't understand such an obvious rejection. You can't say that. Your Shanshan has liked Xiao Jun since she was young. I still remember when she came to our house, crying and begging Xiao Jun to be his bride in the future. Father Cui laughed. If Ji Shanshan really liked his son, she wouldn't care what the Ji family thought. No matter what, if the Cui family wanted to treat Ji Shanshan well in the future, it would depend on his performance as her father. If he sided with an outsider, then they wouldn't be able to treat Ji Shanshan as one of their own in the future. Speaking of which, the Cui family didn't like Ji Shanshan, who was qualified but lacked brains. Papa Ji was extremely depressed. When he thought of his daughter, there was nothing he could do. He could only mutter, "We'll talk about it later." Then, he walked straight to Ji Shanshan. Chapter 347. Meanwhile, Ji Shanshan and Tong Yin were sitting next to Jing Yunzhao. The two of them were like guardians, unwilling to let go of the brocade box. When Papa Ji arrived, he didn't look at anyone else. He directly pulled Ji Shanshan over. Shanshan, do you want Sun Yin to win or lose? Dad, why are you asking this? Are you going to... Ji Shanshan's mouth fell open. Her father wasn't going to do something, was he? Papa Ji's face darkened. I'm not that capable. There are 9 judges. What's the point of me doing something? Besides, there will be a lot of people around during the competition. If I go easy on Sun Yin, won't they see through it? I'm just asking you what you think. Obviously, he couldn't go easy on Sun Yin, but the judges were important too. If they were biased towards one side, it would affect the outcome, especially if Jing Yunzhao and Sun Yin were evenly matched. If the judges all favored Sun Yin, then Jing Yunzhao's defeat was basically set. However, this kind of thing wasn't clean and it was done in front of everyone. It would hurt his reputation. If he didn't have a good reason, he naturally wouldn't do it. Ji Shanshan was dumbfounded by her father's words. She didn't know either. I want Cui Jun to win, but I don't want Sun Yin to win. Ji Shanshan mumbled. Papa Ji rolled his eyes. They're on the same side. Shanshan, you better think about it carefully. It's not just this competition, but also the future. Between you and Cui Jun, do you have to choose him? Cui Jun's father came to me just now. His attitude wasn't very good. Although he didn't say it directly, his meaning was clear. If I don't help the Cui family, then you'll never be able to catch up to Cui Jun, or you'll have a hard time in the Cui family. The Cui family already dared to threaten me when you two haven't even started dating. You don't even want to fight for your father's dignity. What's so good about Cui Jun? I think Tong Yin is better than him. Besides, do you think he cares about you? Ever since his cousin, Sun Yin, came, he hasn't even looked at you properly. His cousin is more important than you, yet you still treat him like a treasure. You're so stupid. Papa Ji couldn't stay calm after scolding her, but his heart softened after he finished scolding her. Especially when she saw her daughter's angry and tragic face, she sighed again. He had wanted to say these words for a long time, but this daughter of his was his treasure. Usually, he couldn't bear to say a harsh word to her, so no matter what she did, he just let her do it. In the past, although he knew that she liked Cui Jun, he didn't stop her. The main reason was that he thought that she was still young and her relationship was unstable. She might not like him when she grew up. But today, he was really angry. This Cui family actually used his daughter to threaten him for the sake of that ginseng. This was too infuriating. At this time, Ji Shanshan was scolded until she was dizzy. She was innocent. Dad, you don't like Cui Jun? After a while, she asked with red eyes. How is he worthy of my liking? If the person you like is Tong Yin, then I promise I won't stop you. Although the Tong family is far from our family, they are all honest people. Papa Ji added. At this time, although Papa Ji deliberately avoided Jing Yunzhao, Jing Yunzhao's hearing was very good after practicing martial arts. He heard every word. Papa Ji wasn't stupid. He knew that Cui Jun wasn't a good person. But wasn't it too early for him to talk about love with a 16-year-old daughter? It would be strange if Ji Shanshan listened. I don't like Tong Yin. Ji Shanshan pursed her lips and said, Dad, it's fine as long as you don't side with anyone. It's my business if I like Cui Jun. I don't need the whole family to help Sun Yin. Chapter 348. Ji Shanshan was calm. Papa Ji was speechless for a while after she finished speaking. His daughter was indeed stupid, but she was filial. That was why he felt bad for her. Papa Ji suppressed his anger. He looked at his daughter, then at Jing Yunzhao. He still wanted to help Sun Yin if he could. His daughter said she wasn't biased, but that was for his sake. However, his daughter still liked Cui Jun. As a father, he couldn't pretend he didn't know. He could only think that Jing Yunzhao wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. That way, he wouldn't need to worry. Since he had already decided to help Sun Yin, Papa Ji felt a little guilty towards Jing Yunzhao. He stared at his daughter and said, Since he asked you to look after it, you and Tong Yin should protect it well. Even if it's Cui Jun, you can't give it to him. If the ginseng is damaged, our family will have to pay for it. Do you understand? Ji Shanshan nodded. Cui Jun wouldn't ask for the ginseng. He was cheering for Sun Yin right now. Jing Yunzhao wasn't stupid. When he heard Papa Ji's words, he knew that Papa Ji was more or less biased towards the Cui family. However, it didn't matter to him. Although the judges' attitudes had an impact on the competition, it didn't matter much, especially in front of so many people. Once Papa Ji left, Ji Shanshan rubbed her nose and sat back down. She looked at Cui Jun's seat. She saw that Cui Jun was sitting with his cousin, looking concerned. Even if she wasn't close, she could imagine that Cui Jun was cheering for Sun Yin. How could he think of her? Ji Shanshan huffed angrily. Jing Yunzhao looked at her and found it funny. Jing Yunzhao, what do you think is so good about Sun Yin? When I grow up, I'll definitely be prettier than her. Plus, she's the most pretentious person. Cui Jun is really too much. Why does he treat her like a fairy? Ji Shanshan complained. Sun Yin is smart, and she knows how to dress. She looks pure and gentle. She's a good helper for the Cui family. A woman like her can take care of the family and be obedient. Can you do the same? Jing Yunzhao didn't hold back. Of course, these advantages of Sun Yin were all superficial. A person's acting ability wouldn't last long. A woman like Sun Yin would remain the same for a short period of time after getting married. But once she had children or grasped the power of her family, she would slowly return to her original nature. Gentleness, politeness, or intelligence were all her weapons to fight for greater benefits for herself. So what if she's good? She's Cui Jun's cousin. She's Cui Jun's biological cousin. It's impossible, Ji Shanshan said unwillingly. Jing Yunzhao suddenly smiled and said coldly, There will always be a few people like Sun Yin in this world. This is the type of woman that Cui Jun likes. It can't be changed. Ji Shanshan was stunned. Every time she told the people around her that she liked Cui Jun, they would comfort her and say that Cui Jun must like her too. How could they be like Jing Yunzhao? However, there was nothing wrong with that. Previously, when she brought her classmate to meet Cui Jun was very gentle towards her classmate, and her classmate was the kind of person who was very gentle and reasonable. Ji Shanshan felt a little uncomfortable. She tried hard to control her emotions and shook her head. After a while, her gaze became firm again. What if she was special to Cui Jun? Ji Shanshan didn't say anything. Jing Yunzhao didn't remind her either. After waiting for a while, the crowd quieted down. The competition had officially begun. Chapter 349. The courtyard was very big, and there were 2 long tables in the middle. On top of the tables were various auxiliary materials, tools, and even boilers needed to concoct medicinal herbs. However, the first round of the competition was not about concoction, but memory. Jing Yunzhao walked to his seat and saw a book on the table. The book was not thick, and the cover was completely white. He couldn't see what was written inside. Sun Yin was naturally the same. After the two of them confirmed the competition, they were separated from the person who set the questions. so they didn't get any information in advance. Everyone said that Sun Yin was smart. She always learned the things that she was taught with one look, and she had the ability to remember everything. This was Sun Yan's strength, so Jing Yunjiao proposed the competition. In fact, the so-called retentive memory could sometimes be cultivated. For example, she had put a lot of effort into books since she was a child. The more things she memorized, the faster her memory would become. Before her rebirth, her memory was already very good. If it was something simple or not very complicated, she could basically memorize it with one look. After her rebirth, she had the space and absorbed the spirit jade, so she really had a retentive memory. She could basically memorize a book after reading it once. If she read it a few times, she would firmly remember it and wouldn't forget it for a long time. Otherwise, she would have improved so much in such a short time. The content of the first round of the competition in your hands now has the names of various medicinal herbs written in it. You need to write them down in the correct order without missing a word. The time to memorize is 5 minutes, and the time to write from memory is 20 minutes. When the time is up, the side that writes the most and makes the least mistakes wins. Is there any problem? An old man below said. This method was relatively simple, but some medicinal herbs' names had always been difficult to remember. It was still very difficult to write them down completely in the correct order. Sun Yin immediately nodded. She had no problems with her memory. Even if there were a few mistakes in the middle, she would definitely be better than Jing Yunjiao. Jing Yunjiao's results were just better, but she was different. When she was a child, everyone said that she was a genius when she memorized medicinal herbs. At this time, Jing Yunjiao also agreed. After the two of them confirmed it, one of the people below blew the whistle. Instantly, the countdown began. In fact, not many people paid attention to the first round. After all, it was just a test of memory. Most people were born with it. They had already seen Sun Yan's intelligence before. As for Jing Yunjiao, he was probably no match for her. However, memory was still very important. If a person was stupid, their speed of improvement would naturally be slow. In their line of work, they had come into contact with countless medicinal herbs. They had to memorize the medicinal properties of each medicinal herb. If they couldn't even do this, then they shouldn't even think about concocting them. The surroundings were quiet, and no one made a sound. Everyone was afraid that they would accidentally affect their memories. The two of them were holding a thin book in their hands, and the pages were flipping at an extremely fast speed. Ji Shanshan and Tong Yin were very close to each other because they were holding the ginseng. Their hearts were also pounding. Sun Yan's speed of flipping through the pages seemed to be slower than Jing Yunjiao's, but Jing Yunjiao's speed was a little too excessive. Could it be that his eyes were a scanner? Was it really so easy to memorize the things in the book? At this time, Jing Yunjiao's brain was working rapidly. In her mind, the medicinal herbs were arranged in an instant. Every time she thought of these medicinal herbs, she would subconsciously think about what kind of medicinal properties they had. Those memories had been completely imprinted in her mind. Chapter 350. 5 minutes passed very quickly. As soon as the time was up, someone immediately came forward to take away the books in their hands. A pen and paper had already been placed on the table. Jing Yunjiao picked up her pen and drew on the paper, but surprisingly, there wasn't a single black mark on the paper. Her eyes darkened as she raised her head to look at the judges, only to see that they were all acting as if they didn't know what was going on. Their faces were full of shock, but no one stopped the competition. Every minute and second could determine success or failure. It seemed that someone really didn't want her to be well. Jing Yunjiao took a deep breath and filled the fountain pen with ink. She wiped her hands and started to write down from memory. This series of actions took about 2 minutes, but 2 minutes was enough for Sun Yin to do a lot of things. Especially since even though Jing Yunjiao had quickly solved the problem of the fountain pen, her own speed seemed to be slow and sluggish, as if she wasn't in a hurry. This really made the people below nervous. Sun Yan's reputation was good. She could be considered a proud daughter of heaven in everyone's eyes. Coupled with her good looks and gentle personality, she was still very popular among the young people in this medicine association. Jing Yunjiao was different. She came from nowhere. Her personality was unusually cold, and she didn't like to socialize with others. In addition, her family background wasn't good. In comparison, there were naturally not many people who wanted her to win. Although the people below the stage were anxious about her actions just now, most of them were laughing at her. However, Tong Yin and Ji Shanshan felt uncomfortable watching, especially Ji Shanshan. Logically speaking, she should want Sun Yin to win, but seeing Jing Yunzhao's actions so slow, she couldn't help but want to slap the person who did this to her to death. What's so good about doing things behind people's backs? If you have the ability, do it in front of them. In any case, if it were her, she would bully someone openly if she hated them. She wouldn't do such a cowardly thing. Unfortunately, she was the emperor who was not anxious, but the eunuch was anxious. Jing Yunzhao didn't even show an angry expression. She just buried her head and wrote. From afar, one could only see that the pen in her hand was moving very fast. It seemed that one could hear the schwa-schwa sound. At first, everyone thought that Jing Yunzhao's writing speed would slow down after a while, but who knew that as time passed by, Jing Yunzhao still maintained her initial speed while Sun Yin, who was beside her, had already started to slow down. Occasionally, she would even pause to think. A few drops of sweat had already formed on her forehead. Sun Yin could only hear Jing Yunzhao's incessant scribbling and drawing. She felt a little anxious. Why didn't she know how to pause? Could it be that he could memorize it so well that he didn't miss a single word? Although she remembered most of the things in the book, it was too fast after all. This kind of memory usually only lasted for a very short period of time, so now the content behind was a little fuzzy. Therefore, every time she wrote down a medicinal herb, she had to think for a while. Sun Yan's red lips moved as she tried to recall, but Jing Yunzhao really disturbed her thoughts, making her more and more uncertain. After a while, seeing that the time was almost up, Sun Yin comforted herself for a while. Maybe Jing Yunzhao was purposely trying to disturb her. That's why she wrote so quickly. Jing Yunzhao started writing about 2 minutes later than her, so it was impossible for her to have written more than her, and it was even more impossible for her to remember so accurately. With this thought, Sun Yin became a lot more rational. Only then did the speed of her hand slightly increase. The audience actually didn't feel bored and kept staring at the two. Sun Yin looked elegant, and Jing Yunzhao's appearance was even more outstanding. How could they be distracted by such an eye-catching scene? However, when there was only 1 minute left, Jing Yunzhao suddenly stopped. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.